Chapter 33:10. Wu Fan screamed and pleaded with Lu Quan. He wanted Lu Quan to stop. Now that he was in the hands of Lu Ming, his life was in Lu Ming's hands. He was really afraid. If he forced Lu Ming into a corner, he would die with him. He wanted to kill Lu Ming, but he didn't want to die. If he died, what was the point of killing Lu Ming? In his heart, 10,000 Lu Ming were not worth a single hair on his body. Lu Quan's eyes changed. He waved his hand and said unwillingly, "Stop." As soon as Lu Quan said that, the 10 men of the Crown Prince stopped and left the battlefield in a flash. After all, Wu Fan was the son of the state preceptor. If he died because of him, even though he was on the Crown Prince's side, he wouldn't be able to withstand the anger of the state preceptor. It would be very bad for his future. He was naturally willing to give Wu Fan face. Retreat! As soon as the Crown Prince's men retreated, Chu Chengkong's men also retreated. They had no choice. Even if they wanted to continue attacking, they were no match for the Dark Ape fighting tribe. If they continued to fight, they would be the ones to be destroyed. "Come to me!" Lu Ming shouted. Then, the experts of the Dark Ape fighting tribe gathered around Lu Ming. Lu Ming glanced at them and heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the Dark Ape fighting tribe didn't die. At most, they were seriously injured. The Dark Ape fighting tribe was Lu Ming's precious wealth. In the future, he would rely on them to conquer the world. If they died, Lu Ming's heart would bleed. "Lu Ming, we have stopped. Now you can let young Master Wu Fan go," an elder from the state preceptor's residence said. His eyes were extremely cold. "If I let him go now, what if you besiege me again?" Lu Ming sneered. "What do you mean? Are you not going to let young Master go?" The elder from the state preceptor's residence looked even colder. "I will let him go, but only after we get away," Lu Ming said. "No, what if you kill young Master after you escape?" "No way." The old man from the Imperial Advisor's residence shouted. He would never agree to this. That's right. With Lu Ming's temperament, he will definitely kill Wu Fan after they escape. "We can't let them escape," Chu Chengkong said with a cold expression. At the moment, he was hiding in the middle of those warriors and was being protected. He was afraid that he would end up like Wu Fan. Then, Lu Quan also said that he couldn't let Lu Ming leave. Lu Ming's face darkened. He really did have this plan. After he escaped, he would kill Wu Fan directly. Now, it seemed that the other party would not let him have his way. However, if he let Wu Fan go now, the other party would definitely continue to attack them. The situation suddenly turned into a stalemate. "Let's go." After a while, Lu Ming said and led the Dark Ape Battle Clan members towards the core of the broken universe. "We can't let them go. Chase after them." The warriors from the Imperial Advisor's residence shouted and chased after Lu Ming. Nothing must happen to Wu Fan. Otherwise, they would not be able to bear the Imperial Advisor's anger. "Let's go too," Chu Chengkong said and led his men to chase after Lu Ming and the others. He still did not want to let Lu Ming off so easily. "Let's go." Lu Quan led the people from the Crown Prince's residence and chased after them. "Let's go and take a look." Qian Shangxian led the people from the Thousand Saints Heavenly King residence and chased after them. As for the others, they did not follow. Their goal was to find the deity factor, not to watch others kill. Not long after, Di Jenny, Su Wuya, and the others moved. They led the experts under them and entered the core of the broken universe to look for the deity factor. Lu Ming led Wu Fan and continued to move forward. The core of the broken universe was full of broken planets and broken battleships. Huge and lonely meteorites floated in the air. They avoided the meteorites and some cosmic storms as they moved forward quickly. However, the people from the Imperial Advisor's residence, Chu Chengkong, Lu Quan, and the others chased after them. "Lu Ming, let young Master go. If anything happens to young Master, all of you will die," the people from the Imperial Advisor's residence shouted. Lu Ming ignored them and led the people from the Dark Ape Battle Clan to fly forward quickly. Soon, they had been flying for 2 hours. Croak, croak, croak. Suddenly, a sharp cry came from a planet that looked like a beast's head. Then, a black flock of large birds flew toward them. This was a terrifying monster with 3 heads. It was full of killing intent and had a wingspan of a few hundred meters. The flock of strange birds rushed toward them. "Got it." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He unleashed the ice chains and wrapped them around Wu Fan. The chill on the ice chains sealed Wu Fan in ice. He then flung Wu Fan forcefully. Wu Fan's body flew out like a cannonball towards the group of strange birds. "Ah, save me! Save me!" Wu Fan shouted. Looking at the approaching strange birds, he almost peed his pants. "Young master, damn it!" The expert from the Imperial Advisor's residence bellowed in rage. His face drained of color as he charged madly towards Wu Fan, using all his strength. Finally, a few experts from the Imperial Advisor's residence who were good at speed arrived in time. They attacked the strange birds. Then, the rest of the Imperial Advisor's residence arrived and fought with the strange birds. In this way, the people from the Imperial Advisor's residence could not continue to chase Lu Ming and the others. Only the Crown Prince and Chu Chengkong's men were left. Lu Quan and Chu Chengkong looked pale and hesitated. In the end, they stopped and did not continue to chase. They were the only ones left. Even if they could catch up with Lu Ming and the others, it would be a tough battle. The strength of the Nether Ape fighting tribe was terrifying. If they did not do well, both sides would be injured. Moreover, Lu Ming had many tricks up his sleeve. He had killed 3 peak divine kings in a row, so they were not confident. Moreover, Qian Shangxian and her people were following them from afar. In the end, they stopped and went to help the people from the Imperial Advisor's residence deal with the strange birds. "Let's go!" Behind them, Qian Shangxian led the people from the Imperial Advisor's residence and left in another direction. After a while, Wu Fan was finally rescued. They rushed out of the encirclement of the strange birds. Lu Ming, I will kill you. I will kill you." After Wu Fan was rescued, he let out a howl like a wolf. His hatred for Lu Ming turned into raging flames of anger. His entire being was about to combust. Of course, Lu Ming could not hear him now. He had already left and was heading toward the core of the broken universe. After a few more hours, they finally stopped and landed on a meteorite to rest. Many of the Nether Ape fighting tribe were injured and needed time to heal. They stayed there for 2 days, but no one else came. After 2 days, the injured Nether Ape fighting tribe had almost recovered. They continued to move toward the core of the broken universe. Chapter 33:11. More and more monsters appeared in the core of the broken universe. These monsters did not have any intelligence. They attacked as soon as they saw them. They went through a few dangerous places. There. The primordial idol is reacting. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. Lu Ming had been holding the primordial idol in his hand. There were more god factors here, but it was difficult for them to sense it. Only the primordial idol could sense it. At this moment, the primordial idol began to react. A faint layer of light appeared on its surface. This was a reaction that would only appear when there was god factor nearby. Where is it? Lu Ming and the others looked at a mountain range in front of them. Yes, there was a mountain range floating in the sky. It was as big as a planet. The god factor was emitted from this mountain range. However, even from afar, they were able to sense a powerful fluctuation coming from the mountain range. "Be careful," Lu Ming said. They retracted their auras and landed at the edge of the mountain range. There were no plants on the mountain range. There were only bare rocks everywhere. Lu Ming held the primordial idol and went deeper into the mountain range. Roar! Roar! Soon, terrifying roars were heard. Many giant monsters dashed toward Lu Ming and the others. Their auras were terrifying. They were all existences in the 7th King God realm. The 2 Dark Ape Battle Clan members stepped forward and punched out, killing a few of the beasts instantly. However, more monsters came after them. "It's right in front of us. Let's go," Lu Ming said. They started to charge forward. Lu Ming held the primordial idol and sensed the direction where the god factor was the thickest. Monsters kept attacking them. Before long, they had killed hundreds of monsters. Most of them were in the 7th layer of the King God realm. There were even some in the 8th layer of the King God realm. After these monsters died, strands of light flew from their bodies to the primordial idol. These were the god factor that was absorbed by the primordial idol. As expected of the core area, the god factor in the monsters is much thicker than outside. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He found that even if he hunted this kind of monster here, the primordial statue would be blessed in the end. Almost there. Moments later, Lu Ming murmured. Because at this moment, the primordial divine statue was glowing brightly. In the distance, strands of light could be seen flying over. They were formed by the condensation of God essence, and they were like strips of light. This proved that they were not far from a place with a high concentration of God essence. That is, after walking for a while, Lu Ming saw a huge finger. Yes, it looked like the finger of a desolate beast. It was extremely huge, like a mountain range that stretched across the ground. The dense God factor was coming from this finger. That finger was so rotten that it revealed a jade-white bone. However, it was still emitting a strong and ancient aura. Is this the finger of a primitive god? However, this finger isn't that big. Lu Ming thought as he looked at the finger in front of him. In Lu Ming's impression, those primitive godly spirits were all incomparably huge. Their bodies were even larger than planets. Although the finger in front of him was a few hundred miles long, it was still incomparable to those primitive godly spirits. However, Lu Ming was already very excited. Although the finger was badly rotten, it still contained a lot of God essence. It should be enough for the primordial idol to be blessed. However, the monsters that appeared in the vicinity were much stronger. There were even peak god kings in the 9th layer of the king god realm. Fortunately, there were not too many of them, so the Dark Ape Battle Tribe could still deal with them. More than 20 Dark Ape Battle Tribe members worked together to kill the monsters. The remaining 10 or so Nether Ape Fighting Clan members stood by Lu Ming's side to protect him. Soon, the ground was littered with monster corpses. Lu Ming finally brought the primordial idol to the finger. Bas! The primordial idol seemed to resonate with the finger. It emitted an ancient aura, as if a primitive god had come back to life. Then, the dense god spirit factor kept flying towards the primordial god statue. It was like ribbons of light, wrapping around the statue. Lu Ming placed the primordial idol on the ground and waited by the side. 36 Dark Ape Battle Tribe members stood guard around the primordial idol. Roar! 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 Not all of the monsters were killed. There were still monsters coming from all directions, but they were all killed by the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members. It's not easy to get God essence. Lu Ming sighed. Fortunately, he had brought some experts with him. If they had relied on themselves, they would not have succeeded. They would have been torn to pieces by the monsters here. As time passed, the light on the primordial idol grew stronger. Slowly, a mysterious aura spread out. Under this aura, Lu Ming's divine power circulated faster. It seemed that his understanding of the primordial god essence had also sped up. It's working! Lu Ming was overjoyed. Although the primordial idol had not been completely blessed, it was already showing some effect. If it was truly blessed, the effect would be extraordinary. He continued to wait patiently. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. After 2 days, the god essence coming out of the finger began to fade. This meant that the god essence in the finger was almost completely absorbed. It hasn't been blessed? What's going on? Lu Ming was a little anxious. Before coming here, he had read a lot of information about the broken universe and the primordial idol's blessing. He had a rough idea. Logically speaking, after absorbing so much God essence, the primordial idol should have been blessed. However, there was still no sign of it being blessed. Could it be that my primordial idol is special? Lu Ming pondered. His primordial idol was indeed tall. It was 1,000 feet tall. The primordial idol he had obtained from the abysmal heavenly king residence was only 1,000 feet tall. The difference in size was even greater. Perhaps this was the reason. The bigger the primordial idol, the more God essence it needed. Similarly, the bigger the primordial idol, the better the effect it would have once it was blessed. Roar! An earth-shattering roar interrupted Lu Ming's thoughts. In the distance, a terrifying aura spread out, covering the sky and covering the earth. It shook the entire mountain range. Not only that, but some meteorites not far away were also shaking. It's a divine lord. Oh no, it's a divine lord monster. The faces of the elites of the Nether Ape Battle Tribe changed drastically. Lu Ming's face also changed drastically. This aura was not something an immortal king could possess. It was definitely a divine lord. This place actually had a divine lord realm monster. Let's go! Lu Ming shouted. With a wave of his hand, he kept the primordial idol and soared into the sky with the Nether Ape Battle Tribe. Chapter 33:12. Lu Ming put away the primordial idol statue and soared into the sky with the 36 Dark Ape Combat Tribe members. Roar! When they rushed out into space, a terrifying roar came from where they were just a moment ago. The starry sky trembled as a terrifying shockwave rushed out and spread in all directions. Lu Ming and the others were also affected. The 36 Dark Ape Combat Tribe members shouted and set up a heavy defense behind them. However, when the shockwave came, 80% of the defense was destroyed. Many of the Dark Ape Combat Tribe members were pale. With the help of the shockwave, they took Lu Ming and flew away at a faster speed. Fortunately, the terrifying existence in the mountain range did not pursue them. After a few more roars, silence returned. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. He felt cold sweat running down his back. The existence of the Divine Lord Realm was too terrifying. Although they had 36 Divine King Realm powerhouses and each of them was an expert, if they really encountered a Divine Lord Realm powerhouse, they might not be able to defeat it even if they worked together. If they encountered such a terrifying existence, the only way was to run away. After that, they became even more careful. Even if they encountered some monsters, they only dashed past them. They did not dare to kill too many of them for fear of attracting the attention of a Divine Lord Realm monster. Half a month later, they passed by a few special places that contained rich god essence. Lu Ming let the primordial idol statue absorb the god essence. However, even after absorbing the god essence from a few places, Lu Ming's primordial idol statue still did not have any god essence. Lu Ming had no choice but to continue searching. Fortunately, they still had a lot of time. If they could stay here for 10 years, it would be less than a year now. On this day, they were flying in a dilapidated area. There were many abandoned items in this area. There were all kinds of small meteorites, abandoned battleships, and even giant divine weapons floating in space. From afar, these things were densely packed. They slowed down to avoid these things and slowly moved forward. Suddenly, Lu Ming's heart beat wildly. He suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. It was as if a terrifying existence had its eyes on him. "Be careful," Lu Ming warned. As soon as the words left his mouth, he heard a furious roar from one of the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members. Boom! In that direction, a terrifying explosion rang out, erupting with violent tremors. That place burst forth with dazzling white light. Whoosh! A dazzling white sword light broke through the fist of the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe member and landed on his fist. Blood splattered everywhere as the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe member's fist was shaved off a layer of flesh, revealing the bone underneath. The Dark Ape Battle Tribe member retreated rapidly. Swish swish. Following that, a dazzling sword light flashed and actually charged towards Lu Ming. "Don't even think about it. Kill!" At the side, the other Dark Ape Fighting Tribe members shouted angrily. Several Dark Ape Fighting Tribe members attacked one after another, unleashing terrifying attacks towards the dazzling white light. Several Abyssal Ape Battle Tribe warriors stepped in to block the dazzling sword light. The void trembled continuously as the two sides engaged in an intense confrontation. At this moment, Lu Ming finally saw the appearance of the person who attacked them. It was a man who seemed to be in his 30s. His hair was silver, his skin was white, and he was unbelievably handsome. However, his eyes were filled with terrifying killing intent. The sword light in his hand continuously slashed out with terrifying power. This person's cultivation was probably at the peak of the Divine King realm. However, he was able to hold his ground against 4 Dark Ape Battle Tribe members by himself. Who is this person? He's so strong. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly as a look of suspicion appeared on his face. This person's killing intent was very strong. Moreover, Lu Ming felt that this killing intent was directed at him. It seemed like this person wanted to kill him very much. However, Lu Ming had never seen this person before. He was not from the Imperial Advisor's residence, nor was he from the Crown Prince's residence. He was also not from Chu Chungkong's group. In fact, none of the experts that the others had brought with them looked like this. Boom! The other Dark Ape Battle Tribe members stepped forward to besiege the silver-haired man. However, at this moment, a terrifying sword light suddenly burst out from a small meteorite in another direction. The sword light was like a beam of light. In the blink of an eye, it was right in front of Lu Ming. Its target was also Lu Ming. Fortunately, Lu Ming was protected by the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members. One of the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members shouted angrily as he appeared in front of Lu Ming and swung his iron rod. However, the sword light changed rapidly. In an instant, it turned into hundreds of sword lights and pierced towards the Dark Ape Battle Tribe member like raindrops. Puff! The Dark Ape Battle Tribe member could not withstand the sword light. Sword holes appeared on his body as blood gushed out. He was severely injured. However, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe member still stood in front of Lu Ming and did not move a single step. Kill! A cold shout rang out. The pale sword light surged and continued to attack the injured Dark Ape Battle Tribe member. It wanted to kill him in one move. However, the other Dark Ape Battle Tribe members also attacked. They roared angrily and attacked, blocking the sword light. Lu Ming also saw the attacker. It was a man in his 40s with a head full of silver hair. Other than looking a little older, he resembled the silver-haired man from before. There's more than one. Where did these people come from? Lu Ming was puzzled. Let's attack together and kill them, Lu Ming ordered. Suddenly, even more Dark Ape Battle Tribe members attacked the two silver-haired men. However, the two silver-haired men flashed and dodged the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members' attacks with terrifying speed. Whoosh! 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 The two silver-haired men seemed to have turned into two sword lights. They flashed in the void and moved at extreme speed. Although the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members were strong, they were much slower than their opponents. They could not catch up to their opponent's speed and could only circle together to defend. Whoosh! Whoosh! From time to time, a terrifying sword light would burst out and slash at Lu Ming. Yes, the sword light was aimed at Lu Ming. It was as if they wanted to kill Lu Ming. Fortunately, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members had surrounded Lu Ming so tightly that the sword light could not penetrate. After a while, the sword light receded and the two silver-haired men stopped attacking. They stood on a small meteorite not far away and looked at Lu Ming coldly. Then, their bodies flashed and turned into two streaks of light. They disappeared into the distance in an instant. However, Lu Ming did not relax. He had many doubts in his heart. Who were these two silver-haired men? Were they experts brought in by some other prodigy? Why did they want to kill him? I heard that the Crown Prince brought in two other prodigies. Could these two silver-haired men be experts brought in by another prodigy under the Crown Prince? Lu Ming pondered. If that was true, it would be difficult to deal with them. The two silver-haired men were terrifyingly strong. Chapter 33:13. Lu Ming adjusted his mood and continued to lead the Dark Ape Battle Tribe forward. In the next 2 days, the two silver-haired men did not appear again. Lu Ming and the others were relieved. On this day, they saw a huge battleship. From the outside, this battleship looked very complete. It had not been cut in half, but there were many scars on the outside, such as the scars of swords and spears. Most importantly, when they arrived, the primordial idol in Lu Ming's hand began to glow. There was a strong god spiritual factor in the battleship. Go in. Be careful. Lu Ming warned the Dark Ape Battle Tribe cultivators. Then, the group flew into the battleship and landed on a passage. According to the reaction of the primordial idol, the god spiritual factor was in the depths of the battleship. The group carefully moved forward along the passage. Silence. There was no sound from the battleship. It was as if there were no living creatures. Not even the sound of the wind could be heard. But for some reason, Lu Ming felt a sense of danger. It was as if a huge rock was pressing down on his heart. Suddenly, the sense of danger rose sharply. Be careful. Lu Ming shouted. Whoosh! Whoosh! Just as Lu Ming's voice fell, the surrounding sword lights burst out. A few pale white sword lights shot toward the Dark Ape Battle Tribe cultivators. The Dark Ape Battle Tribe cultivators were ready for a big battle. They roared and launched a counterattack. Terrifying collisions and ear-piercing explosions rang out. The sword lights collided with the Dark Ape Battle Tribe cultivators' attacks. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 100 blows. Silver-haired men again. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. What made him frown was that there were more silver-haired men this time. He saw 5 of them with a casual glance. There were even more of them as more and more sword lights flashed around, attacking the Dark Ape Battle Tribe cultivators. In the end, a total of 9 silver-haired men appeared. All of them were men and their combat strength was astonishing. The 9 silver-haired men's sword lights filled the sky. The sword lights that filled the sky enveloped the 36 Dark Ape Battle Tribe cultivators. Moreover, the Dark Ape Battle Clan was at a disadvantage. This level of strength was truly astonishing. If it weren't for the fact that the Nether Ape Battle Clan members had cultivated the ghost battle art, which gave them incredible battle prowess and a tenacious life force, some of the ordinary peak divine kings would have died already. Even so, the situation was still very bad for them. More and more dark apes were injured, and sword wounds appeared on their bodies. Puff Puff in front of Lu Ming, two of the Dark Ape Battle Tribe's members had terrifying sword wounds on their bodies that reached deep into their internal organs. Then, the pale white sword light pierced through the Dark Ape Battle Tribe's defenses and headed straight for Lu Ming. Without a doubt, the target of these silver-haired men was still Lu Ming. Don't even think about it. A few Dark Ape Battle Tribe members roared and swept their iron rods at the silver-haired man. Clang! Clang! The sound of metal clashing rang out, and the pale white sword light was blocked. You want to kill the combat ancestor? Dream on! Explode! One by one, the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe roared furiously. Divine power surged from their bodies and their eyes were bloodshot. They unleashed their ghost combat art to the extreme. They were like violent apes, preventing the silver-haired men from getting close to Lu Ming. Let's get out of here first. Lu Ming shouted. There were actually so many silver-haired men in this battleship. This was definitely not a coincidence. Lu Ming suspected that the other party had been tracking their whereabouts. Therefore, the other party had set up an ambush in this battleship in advance. Moreover, Lu Ming noticed that these silver-haired men's eyes were filled with killing intent. They didn't have much intelligence, as if they were only killing machines. This was very strange. None of the geniuses who had entered this time had brought such an expert with them. Lu Ming had many questions that he couldn't figure out, but the most important thing right now was to leave this place. The Dark Ape Battle Tribe members began to change their direction and rushed out. With so many Dark Ape Battle Tribe members rushing out, the silver-haired men couldn't stop them. They slowly made their way out of the warship. The 9 silver-haired men chased after them relentlessly, trying to slow them down. However, Lu Ming and the others were about to get out of the warship. At that moment, a sword light burst out from a small passage on the side, bringing with it a terrifying whistling sound as it slashed towards Lu Ming and the others. Wherever the sword light passed, a sword chi storm appeared. Terrifying sword marks appeared on the strange metal on both sides of the passage. The material used to build this warship was definitely of a high grade. Even after so many years, it was still incomparably tough. The battle between the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members and the silver-haired men had only left a faint mark on the metal. However, the sword light that had just appeared was able to leave a clear sword mark on the surface of the warship. It was obvious that the sword light was terrifying. Protect the combat ancestor. Block it. The Dark Ape Battle Tribe members roared as they unleashed their full strength. Several terrifying attacks shot towards the sword light. Rumble. Both sides' attacks exploded with terrifying rumbling sounds. Shockingly, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members' attacks were forced back by the sword light. The sword light didn't stop. The Dark Ape Battle Tribe members were forced back. Their bodies were covered in sword scars, and they were bleeding profusely. Although the sword light's power had been somewhat weakened, it still continued to attack Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body was being suppressed by the sword energy. Intense pain shot through his body, and he felt like his body was about to split apart. Not good. Lu Ming's heart shook. He felt a terrifying sense of danger. At this moment, he finally saw the person who had attacked him. It was also a man. However, unlike the 9 silver-haired men, this man's hair was golden. Other than the difference in hair color, everything else about him was very similar. His face was ridiculously handsome, and his eyes were filled with berserk killing intent. This person was one with his sword, and his sword light was terrifyingly powerful. He was even stronger than the silver-haired man. The sword light shot towards Lu Ming. If it hit, Lu Ming would definitely die. Battle ancestor, watch out! A burly Nether Ape Combat Clan member roared and pounced toward Lu Ming, attacking him with all his might. However, the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe member was already injured and could not block the attack at all. The sword light broke through the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe member's attack, and blood spurted out. The Dark Ape Fighting Tribe member's body was cut in half, and his soul was destroyed. This Dark Ape Battle Tribe member had died. This was the first time one of the 36 Dark Apes that Lu Ming had brought in had died. Kill! After killing a Nether Ape, the golden-haired man shouted. His murderous intent was extremely cold. His sword gleam flashed again, slashing toward Lu Ming. It was so fast that the other Dark Ape Battle Tribe members didn't even have time to help. Furthermore, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe member was being held down by the other 9 silver-haired men. Even if he wanted to help, he wouldn't be able to. Just as Lu Ming was about to be killed, Xueqi flew out from Lu Ming's wrist and transformed into a shield in front of him. Chapter 33:14. Xueqi turned into a metal shield in front of Lu Ming. However, Xueqi was still unable to block the golden-haired man's sword. The sword light cut Xueqi's shield in two. Xueqi. Lu Ming's heart tightened. He was rapidly thinking of a countermeasure. He was thinking of all the things he could use to deal with the golden-haired man. However, with his current strength, there was nothing he could use to block the golden-haired man. In the end, Lu Ming could only think of the copper coffin. However, the mud on the copper coffin was almost gone. There was only a thin layer left. Would it be useful? But now, Lu Ming didn't have time to think about that. He directly took out the copper coffin and waved it in front of him. He wanted to block the golden-haired man's attack. However, to Lu Ming's surprise, there was a sudden change. When Lu Ming took out the copper coffin, the golden-haired man's eyes filled with terror. He withdrew his sword light and retreated. Like a mouse that had seen a cat, he turned into a ray of sword light and retreated 1,000 meters away. It wasn't just the golden-haired man. The 9 silver-haired men were also terrified. They all retreated 1,000 meters away, looking at Lu Ming with terror. To be more precise, they were looking at the copper coffin in Lu Ming's hand. This scene was truly beyond Lu Ming's expectations. Are the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man afraid of the copper coffin? Lu Ming was extremely curious. The other Nether Ape Battle Tribe members were also astonished. They gathered around Lu Ming, preparing to defend himself. As for Xueqi, the two halves that had turned into 2 balls of liquid metal had now merged back together. It was only a bit sluggish, but it was fine. Lu Ming was relieved. Kill, kill, kill. The golden-haired man and the other 9 silver-haired men stood in the distance, staring at Lu Ming. They constantly growled, killing intent exploding from their eyes. They didn't have much intelligence. However, when they looked at the purple copper coffin, they were filled with fear. Lu Ming was certain that the other party was afraid of the purple copper coffin. Let's go, Lu Ming said and then walked outside. The 9 silver-haired men and 1 golden-haired man followed far behind Lu Ming and the others. They maintained a distance of about 3,000 meters, not daring to get too close. When Lu Ming's group stopped, the silver-haired man and the golden-haired man also stopped, maintaining a distance of 3,000 meters from Lu Ming's group. Soon, Lu Ming and the others left the warship and appeared in space. The golden-haired man and the silver-haired man also came out and stared at Lu Ming and the others. Go! Lu Ming shouted in a low voice. Then, he and the dark ape transformed into a rainbow of light and quickly left the place. They flew towards the core of the broken universe. Although this warship had a god spirit gene, they didn't have time to take it. They had to get rid of these stalkers first. However, the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man continued to follow behind them. They really didn't abandon them. Lu Ming was speechless. Furthermore, these people were extremely fast. No matter how much they tried to increase their speed, it was useless. Behind them, Lu Ming had the Dark Ape Battle Race get into a defensive position. They formed a circle around him and then he put away the purple copper coffin. As expected, as soon as the purple copper coffin was put away, the 9 silver-haired men and the golden-haired man transformed into terrifying sword lights that charged at Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming hastily took out the purple copper coffin. When the purple copper coffin was taken out, the silver-haired man and the golden-haired man all retreated. However, they didn't leave. Just like that, Lu Ming tried a few times, but the results were the same. Lu Ming was 100% sure that these people were extremely afraid of the purple copper coffin, but they wanted to kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming still couldn't figure out why these people wanted to kill him. It was really strange. Was there something about him that attracted these people? Where did these people come from? Lu Ming didn't care anymore. He carried the purple copper coffin and continued to move forward. The 9 silver-haired men and the golden-haired man followed. However, after half a day, the golden-haired man growled a few words. Then, the golden-haired man and the 9 silver-haired men disappeared in a flash. They left. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. However, he didn't put away the purple copper coffin. Instead, He continued to carry it and led the dark ape battle race forward. After a few hours, the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man still didn't show up. Did they really leave? Let's test it out. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He ordered the dark ape battle race to set up a defense around him. Then, he put away the purple copper coffin and waited quietly. After a while, whoosh! A sword light flashed and appeared above Lu Ming's head. It was the golden-haired man who attacked Lu Ming. At the same time, the 9 silver-haired men appeared around them and started to attack. It turned out that the other party hadn't left. They had mastered some mysterious secret technique that allowed them to hide themselves in the void. At the critical moment, they could launch a fatal attack. Fortunately, Lu Ming was prepared. When he saw the other party appear, he immediately took out the purple copper coffin. As soon as the purple copper coffin was taken out, the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man's sword light stopped. They retreated quickly and pulled away from Lu Ming and the others. This seemed to be an instinctive fear. Then they glanced at Lu Ming and the others. Their figures flickered a few times and disappeared. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He knew that the other party hadn't left. They were still following them, hiding in the dark. Once they had the chance, they would kill them. Let's go. We don't care about them, Lu Ming said. At worst, he would just carry the purple copper coffin and move forward. They continued to move forward. Later, Lu Ming found 2 places with rich god factor. Lu Ming asked the primordial idol to absorb it. Unfortunately, it was not consecrated. However, Lu Ming felt that it would be soon. As long as it absorbed a few more places like this, it should be able to awaken. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. On this day, Lu Ming and the others were flying forward when a group of people suddenly appeared in front of them. It's them, Lu Quan. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. In front of them was a group of people. One of them was Lu Quan, a prodigy under the Crown Prince, and the 36 experts he had brought with him. Those sent by the Crown Prince were the elites of the elites. Until now, none of them had died. In addition to Lu Quan, there was another young man with more than 30 people. Lu Ming recognized that this young man was also sent by the Crown Prince. This time, the Crown Prince sent a total of 2 young prodigies, each with 36 experts. Chapter 33:15. The 2 prodigies under the Crown Prince had gathered together. It was clear that they wanted to work together to absorb the god factor. The 2 prodigies that they had brought with them worked together. No one would be able to defeat them this time. It's Lu Ming. Lu Ming had noticed Lu Quan and the others. Lu Quan and the others had also noticed Lu Ming. Lu Quan and the other young man looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. This time, the Crown Prince had secretly warned them to get rid of Lu Ming if they had the chance. They did not expect to run into Lu Ming now. They would not miss this opportunity. Chase after him. Don't let him get away. Lu Quan growled. He led his prodigies and rushed toward Lu Ming. The other young man did the same. It was as if he was afraid that Lu Ming would run away. The Nether Ape Battle Tribe's prodigies tensed up. They were ready to fight. Don't worry. These people came at the right time. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He secretly transmitted a message to the Nether Ape Battle Tribe. Then they stood still in the starry sky. Lu Ming isn't running away. Does he think that the Nether Ape Battle Tribe is enough to fight us? What a joke. Lu Quan's heart skipped a beat. His eyes were filled with mockery and murderous intent. They moved very quickly. In a few breaths, they had crossed the long distance and arrived beside Lu Ming. Surround them, Lu Quan shouted. Lu Quan and the other young man's prodigies moved in a flash and surrounded Lu Ming. Hee, Lu Ming, you didn't run when you saw us. Today will be the day you die. Lu Quan sneered. He did not hide his murderous intent. Run. Why would I run? I'll wait here and make a deal with you. How about that? Lu Ming smiled. Deal? What deal? Lu Quan asked. I found a place that is filled with God factor. However, there are many powerful monsters in that place. I can't handle them all alone. Why don't we work together and kill those monsters? We'll split the God factor equally. What do you think? Lu Ming said. He was just spouting nonsense. His goal was to stall for time so that the golden-haired man and the 9 silver-haired men could follow him. However, Lu Quan didn't know that. His gaze flickered as he asked, "There's such a place? Tell me, where is it? Unless you swear that we'll work together, I won't tell you," Lu Ming said. "You don't want to say? Hee, Lu Ming. Do you think you have the qualifications to bargain with me now? You're really naive. Tell me and I'll leave your corpse intact." Lu Quan sneered. "Then let's do it," Lu Ming said, appearing very unyielding. "Since you want to die, we'll fulfill your wish. We don't want the god spirit factor anymore. Who knows what tricks you're playing? Killing you would make me feel more at ease," Lu Quan said coldly. He exchanged a glance with the other young man and was about to give the order to attack. At that moment, Lu Ming suddenly looked behind Lu Quan and said with a look of horror, "What's that?" Lu Quan and the others were shocked. They hurriedly looked over, but they saw nothing. It was empty. "Lu Ming, how dare you trick me? I'll make sure you die a horrible death," Lu Quan roared. However, he didn't notice that Lu Ming had already put away the purple copper coffin at that moment. "Watch out," Lu Ming roared, deliberately reminding him. However, Lu Quan and the others didn't believe Lu Ming's nonsense at all. They thought that Lu Ming was lying to them. "Kill," Lu Quan roared, but before he could finish his sentence, clang, clang, sword light flashed around them. The sky was filled with sword light that attacked the experts brought by Lu Quan and the other young man. The experts sent by the Crown Prince were indeed powerful. Their combat strength was shocking, and they weren't weaker than the Dark Ape Battle Tribe. However, at that moment, their attention was focused on Lu Ming and the others. They didn't pay attention to what was behind them. Moreover, Lu Ming had already tricked them once. Now that Lu Ming shouted again, they wouldn't believe Lu Ming. Therefore, when the sword light flashed, they didn't have time to block it. Ah! Continuous screams were heard. In an instant, 8 of the Crown Prince's experts were killed. The 8 experts were all split in half. Their souls were annihilated and they died on the spot. Only 2 of them were lucky enough to block the attack of the 2 silver-haired men, but they were also seriously injured. Lu Quan and the others were stunned. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sword light flashed again. The dazzling sword light illuminated the universe. At that moment, the Crown Prince's experts finally reacted and began to counterattack. All kinds of attacks burst out and finally blocked the attack of the sword light. After all, Lu Quan and the other young man had brought too many people. Even if 8 of them were killed, there were still more than 60 people left. Although the silver-haired man was strong, he was still blocked. However, the golden-haired man's strength was terrifying. It was difficult to resist. Clang! The sound of the sword resounded through the sky. The golden-haired man's eyes flashed with killing intent. Terrifying sword light constantly slashed out. After a few moves, another scream was heard. Another expert under Lu Quan was killed. "It's effective." The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly, revealing a cold smile. Previously, he deliberately stayed here and was surrounded by Lu Quan and the others. He wanted to lure the silver-haired man and the golden-haired man to attack Lu Quan and the others. After observing along the way, he found that the silver-haired man and the golden-haired man didn't have high spiritual intelligence. They were full of killing intent and killing intent. They wanted to kill Lu Ming. As long as the purple copper coffin didn't deter them, they would attack Lu Ming and the others crazily. Subconsciously, they would think that those who were with Lu Ming were Lu Ming's helpers. Sure enough, when he put away the purple copper coffin, the silver-haired man and the golden-haired man attacked, causing Lu Quan and the others to suffer heavy losses. Moreover, the people brought by Lu Quan and the other young man surrounded Lu Ming and the others, indirectly protecting them. However, Lu Quan and the others were unaware of this. At this moment, Lu Quan was furious. The experts he brought were all elites brought by the Crown Prince. It would be a great loss if even one of them died. In just a short while, he and the other young man had lost 9 people. It was a great loss. Kill these bastards," Lu Quan roared, glaring at the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man. He couldn't wait to tear them to pieces. The other young man had the same reaction. The experts under the Crown Prince attacked with all their might, trying to kill the silver-haired man and the golden-haired man. There were more than 60 people on both sides. The power of their attacks was indeed terrifying. The silver-haired man was at a disadvantage. Chapter 33:16. The silver-haired man was extremely fast. He turned into a beam of sword light and flashed. Although the Crown Prince had sent out many experts, they could not kill him in a short time. As for the golden-haired man, he was even more terrifying. The sword light whistled and cut across the starry sky. Terrifying sword scars appeared in the void as they attacked the Crown Prince's subordinates. The Crown Prince's subordinates were no match for the golden-haired man. They were forced to retreat. Not long after, another miserable cry sounded. Another person was killed. Quick, let's work together and set up a joint attack array. Lu Quan shouted. Without his command, the Crown Prince's subordinates had already started to set up a joint attack array. The 12-peaked divine kings stood in different positions and formed a formation array. After setting up the formation array, their divine power surged and they finally blocked the golden-haired man's attack. Then, the others rushed over and formed a joint attack, wanting to kill the golden-haired man. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, another beam of sword light flashed in the void above their heads. It was a new beam of sword light. There were 2 beams of sword light and they were extremely powerful. There's a new one. Lu Ming's heart thumped wildly. He saw 2 more figures appear in the void above his head. These 2 figures had blonde hair and looked extremely handsome. They were 2 more golden-haired men. They were extremely powerful, and they were not weaker than the golden-haired man who had appeared at the beginning. The sword light slashed down and each beam of sword light split the 2 experts. Puchi! 4 experts were killed along with cries of agony and blood. Oh no! The Crown Prince's subordinates were shocked and they quickly blocked the attack. However, the golden-haired man was too powerful. It was impossible for the Crown Prince's subordinates to block the sudden attack without setting up a formation array. The 2 golden-haired men appeared behind the golden-haired man. They were like tigers in a flock of sheep. Following that, more and more experts were killed, falling one after another. Lu Quan and the other young supreme talent were really panicking. In just a short while, from the moment the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man appeared, the 2 of them had already lost 16 experts. These were the elites of the 16-peak divine kings. It was a great loss. They did not know how to explain it to the Crown Prince when they got out. Retreat. Let's retreat first. Lu Quan was scared. He wanted to retreat and roared. That's right, let's go. Another young man also roared. If this continued, more of them would die. Most importantly, they couldn't figure out the relationship between the blonde and silver-haired men and Lu Ming. If Lu Ming and the others cooperated with these people, they would be in even more danger. He couldn't care less about Lu Ming now. It was more important to preserve his strength. Lu Quan and the other young chosen joined forces and attacked madly. After leaving behind 2 more corpses, they finally broke through and fled into the distance. Fortunately, the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man did not chase after them after they rushed out. What happened? Lu Quan turned his head hurriedly and saw the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man. They turned their heads and charged toward Lu Ming and the rest. The sky was filled with sword gleams, enveloping the entire starry sky and Lu Ming and the rest. These people. Are they here to kill Lu Ming and the others? Their target is Lu Ming and the others? Lu Quan was not stupid. He was a chosen one and was very smart. When he saw the situation, he immediately guessed the truth. When he thought of this, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Damn it! The muscles on Lu Quan's face contorted in anger. At the same time, the others also thought of this. They gritted their teeth. They were so angry that their hearts, liver, and bodies hurt. They knew that they were fooled by Lu Ming. They finally knew why Lu Ming didn't run when he saw them. Was he using them? The golden-haired man and silver-haired man's target was Lu Ming and the others, but they foolishly blocked the spears for Lu Ming and the others. In the end, 18 of them were killed. Lu Quan was so angry that he couldn't take it anymore. He roared like a beast. Stop, I want to see that kid die. Lu Quan roared. They stopped not far away. He wanted to see Lu Ming and the others get killed. If Lu Ming and the others rushed out, they would hit them when they were down and stop Lu Ming and the others. But in the next moment, they widened their eyes. Originally, the sword light was about to envelop Lu Ming and the others. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly took out a purple copper coffin. When the purple copper coffin appeared, the golden-haired man and silver-haired man were like frightened rats. They ran away and retreated. What is going on? Lu Quan almost bit his tongue. At this time, Lu Ming's eyes looked at Lu Quan and the others. He led the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members and flew toward Lu Quan and the others. Lu Quan, don't run. My previous proposal is still valid. Let's cooperate and absorb the God factor. Lu Ming shouted as he flew toward Lu Quan and the others. In the blink of an eye, the distance between the two sides closed. Lu Quan jumped up and shouted, Lu Ming, don't come over. Get out of my way. Lu Quan shouted and led the elites under him to run forward. He did not dare to let Lu Ming get close to him. Don't go, let's catch up. Lu Ming shouted and stuck to Lu Quan and the others. Lu Quan wanted to curse. Who wants to catch up with you? Who knows you? We are enemies, okay? Seeing Lu Ming and the others getting closer and closer, he was about to cry. Behind them, the 3 golden-haired men and the 9 silver-haired men flashed and disappeared. Lu Quan and the others' eyes lit up. They thought that the golden-haired men and the silver-haired men had left. Lu Ming, you son of a bitch. How dare you hurt us? Let's kill him together. Lu Quan shouted. Another young elite had the same thought. This time, they had suffered a great loss. They would not be able to answer to the Crown Prince and would be severely punished. When they thought of the Crown Prince's terrifying means, they shuddered and broke out in a cold sweat. Now, only by killing Lu Ming would they be able to make up for their mistakes and answer to the Crown Prince. The two sides charged toward Lu Ming and the others. Although they had lost some of their men, they were confident that they could kill Lu Ming and the others easily. The two sides closed in quickly. As for Lu Ming, he simply put away the purple copper coffin. The 35 Dark Ape Fighting Tribe members set up a defense and surrounded them like an iron bucket. Boom, boom, boom. The elites under the Crown Prince made their move. They exploded with terrifying attacks and blasted toward Lu Ming and the others. However, the 35 Dark Ape Fighting Tribe members did not want to make any mistakes. They set up a heavy defense and successfully blocked the attacks of Lu Quan and the others. Let's see how long you can block them. Kill them. Lu Quan shouted with red eyes. Chapter 33:17. The Dark Ape Fighting Tribe managed to fend off the first wave of attacks from Lu Quan and the others. Lu Quan and the others immediately launched a second wave of attacks. However, at this moment, sword gleams flashed in all directions. The terrifying sword gleams engulfed Lu Quan and the rest, as well as Lu Ming and the rest. It was the blonde and silver-haired men again. Lu Ming immediately took out the purple copper coffin. The moment the purple copper coffin was taken out, the sword light that was attacking them immediately retracted. However, Lu Quan and the others were not so lucky. The sword light flashed and screams could be heard. Blood splattered everywhere and at least 7 or 8 experts were killed in an instant. Ah! Lu Quan let out a crazed cry. Just now, a sword light had flashed past him, cutting a Peak God King expert in two. He had almost wet his pants from fright. Damn it! Retreat! Retreat! Lu Quan came to his senses and roared hysterically. He understood that the blonde and silver-haired men did not leave. He had been tricked by Lu Ming again. At this moment, he only wanted to escape. Lu Quan and the other young genius gathered together and tried to escape from the encirclement. They were not in the mood to continue fighting. They were completely suppressed by the blonde and silver-haired men. Many of them were killed. When they managed to break out of the encirclement, they paid the price of another 8 experts. In the beginning, each of them had brought 36 people with them. In total, there were 72 experts. But now, only 36 of them were left. It was tragic. Lu Quan was on the verge of tears. Tears welled up in his eyes. He felt so wronged. Ah! Lu Ming, I will kill you! Lu Quan roared in anger. His killing intent was extremely cold. What? You want to kill me? Come on then. Not far away, Lu Ming carried the purple copper coffin and rushed over with the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe's experts. You! Don't come over! Lu Quan trembled in fear and ran away with the rest of the people. He did not dare to stay any longer. Don't run. Didn't you want to kill me? Don't run. Lu Ming chased after him anxiously, yelling at him. Don't come over. Get lost. Lu Quan shouted and his face turned pale. Come, let's hurt each other. Lu Ming continued to give chase. He wanted to use the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man to eliminate Lu Quan's men. But this time, Lu Quan and the others had learned their lesson. They would not stop even if they were beaten to death. Even if they saw the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man disappear into the air, they did not stop. Lu Ming and his men chased after them for half a day. However, Lu Quan and the others were running as fast as they could. They simply couldn't catch up. Lu Ming knew that Lu Quan and the others wouldn't stop. They wouldn't fall for Lu Ming's trick. They wouldn't have another chance like before. In the end, Lu Ming stopped chasing, and Lu Quan and the others disappeared from Lu Ming's line of sight. However, the golden-haired man, the silver-haired man, and the others definitely did not leave. They were hiding in the surrounding void, waiting for an opportunity to attack. Go! Lu Ming continued to lead the Dark Ape Battle Tribe to the core of the broken universe. But for the next few days, they couldn't shake off the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man. The golden-haired man and the silver-haired man were like nails, entangling them tightly. It was as if they wouldn't give up until they killed Lu Ming. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't shake them off. Why do these people want to kill me? How can I shake them off? Lu Ming frowned and pondered, but he couldn't think of an effective plan. Lu Ming was a little worried. He was afraid that if this continued, the deterrence of the copper coffin would weaken, and the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man would take the risk to attack them. Then they would be in danger. Not long after, they arrived at a broken planet. The golden-haired man and the silver-haired man's target should be me. So you guys stay here. I'll distract them alone. Lu Ming said. He finally made a decision. He would distract the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man alone. He didn't want to see the Dark Ape Battle Tribe suffer any losses. Lu Ming had been heartbroken for a long time when one of them died. These Dark Ape Battle Tribe members were loyal to him. They were the cornerstone of his rise in the future. Every loss was difficult to make up for. If this continued, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members would be in danger. So, Lu Ming made the decision to let the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members stay here. He would distract the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man alone. After all, the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man's target was him. As long as he left, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe would be fine. No, it's too dangerous. We can't let the warlord take the risk alone. That's right. At worst, we'll fight them to the death. As soon as Lu Ming spoke, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members began to clamor. They were determined to oppose Lu Ming's suggestion. This is an order. Are you going to disobey my order? Lu Ming's face darkened. Warlord, we don't want to disobey your order, but it's too dangerous. Yes, absolutely not. The Dark Ape Battle Tribe members began to protest. I have the purple copper coffin. What's there to be afraid of? You think I'm going to risk my life? Don't worry, I have full confidence that I can shake them off. All right, I've made up my mind. You don't have to say anything more, Lu Ming said. But, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members wanted to say something more. Say no more. If you disobey my order, you'll be violating the tribe rules. You'll be expelled from the Dark Ape Battle Tribe. Lu Ming waved his hand. His voice was resolute. In the end, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members shook their heads and sighed. I'll leave this primordial deity statue to you. Your task is to consecrate it and wait for me here. Don't worry, I'll be fine. After saying that, Lu Ming did not linger. He carried the purple copper coffin and soared into the sky. In the blink of an eye, he was a few thousand miles away. When he looked back, he saw that the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members had not been attacked. It was obvious that the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man were chasing after him. Come on, if you want to chase after me. Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly. He used the Garuda art of the 9 heavens and turned into a giant Garuda. He flapped his wings and flew into the depths of the starry sky. However, Lu Ming could still feel a terrifying murderous intent shrouding him. No matter how he flew, the murderous intent lingered around him. For the next half a month, Lu Ming did not know how far he had flown. However, the murderous intent was still there. Lu Ming knew that the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man were still following him. This kind of feeling was really not good. Being constantly stared at by some terrifying existence and having his life threatened was a kind of torture. Fortunately, Lu Ming's mind was strong. He had been through a lot. If he was an ordinary person, he would have broken down. However, what made Lu Ming's face turn serious was that the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man seemed to be getting bolder. From time to time, they would appear around Lu Ming and stare at Lu Ming with murderous intent. It seemed like they were testing the purple copper coffin to see if it was dangerous. Chapter 33:18. Lu Ming's face turned solemn. This wasn't a good sign. The golden-haired man and the silver-haired man had started to probe, which meant that they had begun to doubt the deterrence of the purple copper coffin. If they found that the purple copper coffin wasn't dangerous, they would launch an attack. With the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man's strength, Lu Ming wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow from either of them. He would definitely die. The key was that Lu Ming didn't know why they were afraid of the purple copper coffin and couldn't come up with a corresponding countermeasure. Not far away, a golden-haired man appeared. His golden hair fluttered in the wind and he was extremely handsome. If he walked out, countless girls would go crazy for him. However, there wasn't any intelligence in his eyes. They were filled with malice and killing intent. His gaze moved back and forth between Lu Ming and the purple copper coffin. Lu Ming's body couldn't help but tense up. His heart raced and his palms broke out in cold sweat. This was because he felt a terrifying killing intent shrouding him. He had a feeling that the other party would launch a fatal blow at any time. The two of them confronted each other for a moment. In the end, the golden-haired man didn't launch an attack. His figure flashed and disappeared in the air. Phew! Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He felt that his body was drenched in cold sweat. This can't go on. I must find a chance to get rid of these people. Lu Ming pondered and continued to fly into the depths of the starry sky. That is, not long after, Lu Ming's eyes widened. This was because he saw a huge continent floating in the starry sky. In the starry sky, there was a floating continent. It was so big that he couldn't see the end of it. It was many times bigger than a planet of life. Lu Ming never expected that there would be a continent in the depths of the starry sky. Lu Ming flew over and entered the continent. Caw! Suddenly, there was a cry. A strange bird soared into the sky and pounced on Lu Ming. Its wings were like blades, slashing at Lu Ming with a terrifying force. Lu Ming was shocked and brandished the purple copper coffin without hesitation. Boom! The purple copper coffin collided with the wings of the strange bird, causing a violent explosion. Lu Ming felt as if he had been hit by a mountain. His body shook violently, and he retreated rapidly. Peak of the 8th layer of the Divine King realm, but what a strong power. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. He felt the blood and qi in his body churning, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. With Lu Ming's current competence, fighting against a warrior of the 8th King God realm wasn't a problem. If he used all of his tricks, he could even kill him. However, although this strange bird was also at the 8th King God realm, it was terrifyingly strong. It was much stronger than the 8th King God realm experts Lu Ming had met outside. Lu Ming was injured in just one move. However, the strange bird was in an even worse state. There was still a layer of mud on one end of the purple copper coffin. At that moment, the mud stuck to the strange bird's wings, causing them to rapidly corrode. In an instant, the strange bird's wings were completely corroded. Jia. The strange bird screeched crazily. Then, more screeches came from the distance. It seemed to be the strange bird's companions. Lu Ming was shocked. He didn't have any experts of the dark ape fighting tribe with him now. If he was surrounded by the strange birds, he would be in danger. Without hesitation, he dove down and rushed to the ground. The terrain was complicated, so it was easy to avoid the strange bird's sight. The ground was full of strange rocks and mountains. On the mountains, there were ugly plants that reached the clouds. Lu Ming rushed into a valley and disappeared. Then, he rushed to the depths of the continent. Soon, the chirping of strange birds came from the sky. In the next moment, a sword light flashed and dozens of strange birds were cut in half. Lu Ming saw that it was a golden-haired man who had attacked. The strange birds seemed to have a sharp spiritual sense. They discovered the golden-haired man hiding in the void and attacked him. The golden-haired man killed them. After killing the strange birds, the golden-haired man looked in the direction of Lu Ming. Cold murderous intent burst out from his eyes. Then, his figure flashed and disappeared. Lu Ming ran between the mountains and constantly changed his direction, hoping to shake off the golden-haired and silver-haired men. However, he felt that he was being locked on by a murderous intent. He knew that he couldn't shake them off. There were many terrifying monsters and strange birds on this continent. Lu Ming often had to dodge these monsters and strange birds. It was really exhausting. In the blink of an eye, 2 days passed. the golden-haired and silver-haired men became bolder. From time to time, they would appear near Lu Ming and stare at Lu Ming coldly. Moreover, the distance between them and Lu Ming was getting closer and closer. 2 days later, the real danger appeared. 3 golden-haired men and 9 silver-haired men suddenly appeared and surrounded Lu Ming, cutting off all of Lu Ming's escape routes. Clang! Clang! The sound of swords rang out continuously. The area was filled with terrifying sword pressure. Lu Ming's face turned ugly. It seemed that the golden-haired and silver-haired men had finally decided to make a move after many rounds of probing. Come on! Lu Ming's eyes flashed with madness. He decided to risk it all. Weren't these people afraid of the purple copper coffin? Then Lu Ming would risk it all and open the purple copper coffin. Opening the purple copper coffin would be very dangerous for Lu Ming. He didn't know what would happen, but he had no choice but to risk it all. The 3 golden-haired men and 9 silver-haired men slowly approached Lu Ming, as if they were still probing. The distance between the 2 sides was getting closer and closer. In the end, the distance between them was only about 1,000 meters. A distance of 1,000 meters was as good as nothing to experts like them. Clang! The sound of swords suddenly rang out and became even more intense. The other party was about to make a move. Open! Lu Ming shouted angrily. He suddenly grabbed the purple copper coffin and tried to open it. Crack! The purple copper coffin made a cracking sound. Then, a crack appeared. It was only a crack, not as wide as a strand of hair. However, a terrifying wave spread out. Those golden-haired and silver-haired men seemed to have discovered something incomparably terrifying. They screamed and turned into rays of light that shot off in all directions. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. No one knew where they had run off to. Close. Lu Ming hurriedly closed the purple copper coffin with force. The crack disappeared. Phew! Lu Ming let out a long breath. Fortunately, the purple copper coffin didn't open too much. Otherwise, he would have felt that it was dangerous. Moreover, the sense of crisis had disappeared. It proved that the golden-haired and silver-haired men had left. They are actually so afraid of the purple copper coffin. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He then chose a direction and dashed madly. A few hours later, Lu Ming did not know how far he had run. I should have shaken off the golden-haired and silver-haired men. Lu Ming thought and then began to observe the surroundings. This piece of land exuded an ancient and desolate aura. Lu Ming speculated that there should be a lot of god DNA on it. Chapter 33:19. Immediately, Lu Ming took out the primordial idol. The primordial idol that he had given to the Dark Ape Battle Tribe was obtained from the prodigy of the Nether Heavenly Palace. The one in his hand was his. However, he did not dare to put away the purple copper coffin for fear that the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man would return and attack him. Lu Ming would most likely die if he was attacked by such a powerful being. Therefore, he held the purple copper coffin in one hand and the primordial idol in the other. As soon as he took out the primordial idol, it emitted a faint glow. There are divine factors nearby. There are indeed a lot of divine factors on this continent. Lu Ming's eyes lit up with joy. Then, according to the primordial idol's reaction, he went in a certain direction. Soon, he found a small crimson hill. As soon as Lu Ming got close, the hill emitted a faint glow. Streaks of light flew toward the primordial idol. These were divine factors that were absorbed by the primordial idol. Lu Ming speculated that the hill might have been covered with the blood of the primordial idol a long time ago. That was why there were divine factors here. However, there was not a lot of divine factors on the hill. After a while, the primordial idol was completely absorbed. Let's find somewhere else. Lu Ming started to move. Soon, he found another place that contained divine factors. However, there was not a lot of them. After absorbing them, the primordial idol still had not been consecrated. Lu Ming continued to search. After a while, he found a valley where the primordial idol had a strong reaction. It meant that the divine factors here were extremely dense. However, there was a terrifying aura coming from the valley. There were many terrifying monsters living there. Lu Ming could feel that there were many peak divine king-level monsters. Lu Ming sighed. He had a feeling that if the primordial idol absorbed the divine factors in the valley, it would be awakened. Unfortunately, the monsters inside were too strong. In the end, it could only retreat. For the rest of the day, Lu Ming found a few places that contained dense divine factors. Unfortunately, they were all inhabited by terrifying monsters that he could not deal with. Lu Ming could only find places with less God spirit DNA to absorb. After all, even a little could make a lot. But on this day, Lu Ming's body suddenly stiffened, because he once again felt a terrifying killing intent enveloping him. Needless to say, Lu Ming knew that the golden-haired and silver-haired men had appeared. The other party had found him again. Damn it! Lu Ming roared in his heart. Why did those golden-haired and silver-haired men want to kill him? Why did they keep bothering him? He was speechless. Lu Ming put away the primordial deity statue and the purple copper coffins. He was on full alert. Whoosh! Whoosh! Not far away, 3 figures appeared. 1 golden-haired man and 2 silver-haired men. The 3 of them appeared not far from Lu Ming and stared at Lu Ming with murderous intents. Kill! Suddenly, the golden-haired man let out a low roar and took a step forward, charging at Lu Ming. The void trembled. The other 2 silver-haired men did the same, and their eyes were filled with madness. Lu Ming was shocked. Just as he was about to open the purple copper coffins, a terrifying whistling sound came from not far away. Then, a stone spear flew at a terrifying speed towards one of the silver-haired men. The silver-haired man let out a low roar and instantly slashed out dozens of sword lights, trying to block the stone spear. But the sword lights kept exploding when they collided, and the stone spear broke through the silver-haired man's head like a hot knife through butter. The silver-haired man was killed in an instant, and his corpse fell to the ground. So strong! Lu Ming was shocked. The stone spear killed the silver-haired man in one move. How terrifying! Lu Ming knew the silver-haired man's strength. Although he was also a peak divine king, his combat strength was terrifying. He could deal with several experts of the dark ape fighting tribe at the same time. But now, he was killed in an instant. The remaining golden-haired and silver-haired men stopped and looked in a direction nervously. Rumble! There was a dull explosion in the air, and a figure flew over from that direction. It was a young man who looked to be in his 20s. He was burly and strong, and he wore a vest made of animal skin that revealed his bronze skin. He was filled with explosive strength. The man was not particularly handsome, but he gave off a wild feeling. His eyes were filled with a powerful domineering aura. He waved his hand, and the stone spear flew back into the young man's hand. Kill! The young man let out a low roar and took a step forward. The stone spear slashed towards the golden-haired and silver-haired men. Clang! The sound of swords rang through the sky. The golden-haired and silver-haired men also charged towards the young man, and the 2 sides engaged in a fierce battle. Who is this young man? Lu Ming was puzzled. The young man looked young, but his cultivation was ridiculously strong. He was also a peak divine king. The most terrifying thing about him was his combat strength. The golden-haired man's combat strength was already heaven-defying. He could kill peak divine kings of the same level as if he was cutting vegetables. But now, he was completely suppressed by the young man in animal skin. Boom! The young man's stone spear hit the golden-haired man's sword radiance. The golden-haired man's body shook violently, and he was sent flying. Then, the young man in animal skin swept his stone spear and destroyed the silver-haired man's sword radiance. The silver-haired man's body exploded into a cloud of blood mist. After killing the silver-haired man, the young man in animal skin continued to charge towards the golden-haired man. The golden-haired man's strength was outstanding, and his speed was shocking. However, he was still no match for the young man in animal skin. In just a few moves, he spat out a mouthful of blood and one of his arms exploded. In the end, the golden-haired man wanted to escape. He turned into a sword radiance and was about to dash into the distance. However, the young man in animal skin opened his mouth and let out a long roar. He spat out a milky way from his mouth, and it shrouded the golden-haired man. He seemed to be greatly suppressed, and his speed was greatly reduced. Whoosh! The stone spear flew out and pierced through the golden-haired man, killing him. Lu Ming sucked in a breath of cold air. This youth in animal skin was really terrifying. This kind of combat strength was close to a divine lord realm powerhouse. A golden-haired man and 2 silver-haired men were killed in just a few moves. After killing the golden-haired man, the Milky Way and the stone spear disappeared at the same time. Is that an origin source secret skill? 2 origin source secret skills. Lu Ming was shocked. He would not be wrong. The stone spear and the Milky Way were both origin source secret skills of the young man in animal skin. It was Lu Ming's first time seeing someone else master two origin source secret skills. At this time, the young man in animal skin took a step forward and walked towards Lu Ming. In an instant, he was in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming could not help but be shocked, and he kept retreating. Don't worry. I won't kill you. The young man in animal skin spoke. He seemed to be stuttering and his words were intermittent. However, Lu Ming understood him. Chapter 33:20. Who are you? Why did you save me? Lu Ming asked, staring at the young man in animal skin. He dared not let his guard down. The young man was too powerful. If he wanted to fight him, he would die. Who am I? The beast-skinned young man looked confused. All kinds of complicated emotions flashed through his eyes. Who am I? Who am I? I don't know who I am. The young man murmured. He looked even more confused. Lu Ming was confused. The young man didn't even know who he was. Did he lose his memory? After a while, the young man calmed down. He looked at Lu Ming and said, I don't know who I am, but I saved you because I can feel that you're from the same race as me and the heavenly humans are my enemies. After a while, the young man's speech became smoother and smoother. In the end, he almost stopped stuttering. I'm from the same race as you? And what's the heavenly human race? Lu Ming was even more confused. How could he be from the same race as the young man? Of course I can feel it, the young man said. Then his blood boiled and an ancient aura spread out. It was as if an ancient god had come back to life. This is the aura of an ancient god. Lu Ming's eyes widened. He could sense the primitive godly spirit aura emanating from the young man in animal skin. Lu Ming finally understood why the young man said that they were from the same race. Because Lu Ming had cultivated the heart of an ancient god and had the bloodline of an ancient god. To put it bluntly, an ancient god was also a member of the primitive gods. Therefore, Lu Ming and the man in animal skin were of the same race. What's the heavenly human race? Lu Ming asked again. There were countless races in the primitive universe, but Lu Ming had never heard of the heavenly human race. The heavenly human race is the enemy of my race. They want to kill me, so I'll kill them too. The young man's eyes were filled with killing intent. After a while, he looked at the copper coffin in Lu Ming's hand. The thing in your hand gives me a very familiar feeling. I feel like I've seen it before, but I can't remember. I really feel like I've seen it before. It's so familiar. What is it? The young man murmured to himself. He frowned more and more. In the end, he looked even more confused. Roar. Suddenly, the young man in animal skin roared like a wild beast. His face twisted and changed into all kinds of different expressions. Lu Ming was shocked. He asked, What's wrong with you? I don't know. My head hurts. It seems like there are many kinds of memories and thoughts in it, but it's very messy. Saying this, the young man in beast skin roared again. He held his head and slammed it on the ground. At the same time, more questions popped up in his mind. The young man said that he had seen the copper coffin before? How could this be possible? Lu Ming was the one who brought the purple copper coffin out of the ancient god world. Logically speaking, the purple copper coffin had been in the ancient god world for countless years before Lu Ming brought it out. How could the young man in animal skin have seen it? Could it be that the young man was very old? However, after observing the young man's life aura, Lu Ming discovered that he was definitely not old. He was about the same age as him. In addition, the young man's current state was very strange. He felt that there were countless spiritual consciousnesses in the young man's sea of consciousness. Amazing, really amazing. Is it like this? Bone Demon kept muttering in the sea of consciousness. He seemed to have found something and was very surprised. Senior Bone Demon, what did you find? Lu Ming asked. I'm not sure. Go and ask him if he came from outside. Or was he born here? Bone Demon said. Lu Ming was a little surprised. He didn't know why Bone Demon asked this question. But Lu Ming still wanted to ask. After a while, the young man's state stabilized. Brother, are you feeling better? Lu Ming asked. Yes. Strange, I really feel that this thing is very familiar. The young man stared at the copper coffin again. Lu Ming hurriedly moved the purple copper coffin away in case the young man in animal skin flared up again. Brother, Are you from the outside world or were you born in this world? Lu Ming asked. I was in this world when I woke up. I've never left. Is there a world outside? Is it very big? The young man asked curiously. Sure enough, my guess is right. Bone Demon said. Senior Bone Demon, what did you find? Lu Ming asked. This young man is very special. If I'm not wrong, he was born from the flesh and blood essence of the primordial divine spirit. Bone Demon said. What? Born from the flesh and blood essence of the primordial divine spirit? Lu Ming was shocked. Wasn't this the same as the monsters he had met? Kid, don't compare him to those monsters. The difference is too great. Not only was this young man born from the flesh and blood essence of the primitive gods, but he was also born from the flesh and blood essence of many primitive gods. After countless years of evolution, he became a brand new life. That's why his soul is filled with the consciousness of different primitive gods. When he saw something familiar, his consciousness was in a mess, which led to the situation just now. The creation of heaven and earth is really amazing. It's like giving birth to a new life out of thin air. A life that can cultivate, comprehend, and grow is completely different from those monsters. Bone Demon was also amazed. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He could not believe that things would turn out this way. So, the copper coffin is related to the primordial divine spirit? Senior Bone Demon, do you know the origin of the copper coffin? Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he asked Bone Demon. The young man in animal skin was born from the flesh and blood essence of many primordial divine spirits. His soul contained the remnant consciousness of those primordial divine spirits. He felt that the copper coffin looked familiar. In fact, it was the primordial divine spirits who had seen the copper coffin. The copper coffin was obtained from the ancient god world. Obviously, it was related to the primordial divine spirits. I don't know. To be honest, I've seen or heard of many ancient things, but I've never seen or heard of this copper coffin. Bone Demon shook his head. Lu Ming was somewhat disappointed. He had not even seen a bone demon before. He did not know how ancient it was. By the way, Senior, have you heard of the heavenly human tribe? Lu Ming asked again. The young man in animal skin called the golden-haired man and the silver-haired man heavenly human tribe. He was curious. Heavenly human tribe? Hee, of course I know. How could I forget? Bone Demon sneered. Lu Ming heard the cold murderous intent in Bone Demon's voice. Chapter 33:21. Bone Demon's tone was filled with murderous intent toward the heavenly human tribe. Lu Ming wondered if the heavenly human tribe had a grudge against Bone Demon. Have you heard of the heavenly palace? Bone Demon didn't answer directly. Instead, he asked a question. Of course. Lu Ming replied. Everyone knew about the heavenly palace. In this era, the heavenly palace was the supreme ruler of the primitive universe. The Taishu dynasty was like an ant in the eyes of the heavenly palace. Even the top 10 tribes on the list of 10,000 tribes in the primitive universe couldn't compete with the heavenly palace. Autumn Moon received the inheritance of the Divine Eye Lord of Heaven. The Divine Eye Lord of Heaven was a giant from the heavenly palace. Could it be that the heavenly human tribe was related to the heavenly palace? Lu Ming could not help pondering. The heavenly palace was built by the heavenly human tribe. The heavenly human tribe is the ruler of the heavenly palace. Bone Demon said. Lu Ming was shocked. The heavenly human tribe was the ruler of the heavenly palace. Their strength was absolutely terrifying. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call them the most powerful tribe in the primitive universe. Could it be that those people are from the heavenly palace? Lu Ming said with a serious face. If the heavenly human tribe wanted to kill him, it meant that the heavenly palace wanted to kill him. If he offended the heavenly palace, wouldn't it be a dead end? Those people can be said to be from the heavenly palace, but not all of them are from the heavenly palace. Bone Demon's explanation made Lu Ming even more confused. What did it mean? Countless years ago, the heavenly human tribe and the primitive divine spirits had a terrifying battle. This broken universe was the battlefield between the heavenly human tribe and the primitive divine spirits. A large number of primitive divine spirits died here. Of course, a large number of heavenly human tribe members also died. The flesh and blood essence of the primitive divine spirits who died in the battle evolved into the young man in animal skin. The flesh and blood essence of the heavenly human tribe who died in the battle evolved into the people you have seen before. But obviously, the evolution was not perfect. They did not have any spiritual intelligence, only an instinct to hunt down the primitive divine spirits. You have the heart of the ancient god and the bloodline of the ancient deities. You are the descendants of the primitive deities. So, you don't have to worry about the people from the heavenly palace with the heavenly palace. Now. The heavenly palace now. Of deities, with the heavenly palace deities. Bone Demon explained in detail. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. It turned out that the heavenly human tribe's flesh and blood essence evolved from the heavenly human tribe's experts. Their evolution was incomplete and they didn't have any intelligence. They were far inferior to the young man in animal skin. Only the instincts of the heavenly human tribe's experts were left. They were completely different from the heavenly palace's thoughts. Although he was bold, he would be courting death if he faced the heavenly human tribe with his strength. Of course he was worried. Lu Ming finally figured out the gist of the matter. Can I follow you? The young man in animal skin circled Lu Ming a few times. Of course, he was more focused on the purple copper coffin because he felt close to the purple copper coffin. Even Lu Ming made him feel close to the purple copper coffin. He didn't want to leave. You want to follow me? Lu Ming was taken aback. Take him away. Lu Ming, you have to take him away. This lad has at least dozens of primitive god spirit bloodlines. He has perfectly evolved and has endless potential. When he grows up, he will definitely be terrifying. He will be a good helper for you. Guemo said hurriedly. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't show it on his face. He looked at the young man in animal skin and said, You can follow me, but you have to listen to me in the future. Okay, I'll listen to you. The young man in animal skin nodded excitedly. The young man in animal skin was very naive. He was like a teenager who hadn't matured yet. By the way, do you have any companions? Lu Ming asked. The young man in animal skin was so powerful and had endless potential. However, he was not very intelligent. If there were a few more of them, Lu Ming would be rich. No, when I woke up, I was alone. The young man in animal skin shook his head. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. Then he asked, What's your name? Name? I don't have a name. The young man in animal skin said. Lu Ming touched his nose. That was right. The young man in animal skin had been alone when he woke up. He didn't have any companions, so he wouldn't have a name unless he gave himself a name. Then I'll give you a name. How about Wan Shen? It's formed by the essence of thousands of primitive divine spirits. Lu Ming said. Although his ability to come up with names was truly terrible, he was fond of this path and would often be pleased with himself. Okay, I'll be called Wan Shen. I have a name. The young man in animal skin should be overjoyed. Immediately, Lu Ming asked about the heavenly human race. According to Wan Shen, he was often hunted by the heavenly human race after he woke up. He also knew that they were from the heavenly human race from a few fragments of memory in his soul. Like him, the heavenly human race was also born in this world. The two sides fought and both sides were injured. I'm going to kill all the heavenly human race. Wan Shen's eyes flashed with killing intent. He had also inherited the instinct of the primitive divine spirits. He wanted to kill the heavenly human race when he saw them. How many heavenly human race members are there? Lu Ming asked. I've killed many over the years, but now there are 6 golden-haired ones and 15 silver-haired ones left. However, I killed another golden-haired one and 2 silver-haired ones earlier, Wan Shen explained. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. It seemed that those who had dealt with him previously were not all. There were only 3 golden-haired ones and 9 silver-haired ones. In addition to the 3 killed by Wan Shen, there were 4 golden-haired ones and 13 silver-haired ones left. How about this? Wan Shen, you hide. I'll attract the heavenly human race members while you kill them. What do you think? Lu Ming said. If the heavenly human race members were not killed, he would not be at ease. He did not know when he would be ambushed. He had to get rid of this disaster completely. Wan Shen naturally agreed happily. Then, they began to move and change to another place. Lu Ming found a place to sit cross-legged. Wan Shen hid not far away from him and concealed his aura. Lu Ming carefully sensed for a while and could not sense Wan Shen's aura at all. It was as if the place was empty. Let's go all out. Lu Ming took a deep breath and then put the purple copper coffin into the Jingyu painting. Then, he activated the ancient god's heart. The ancient god's heart thumped and the ancient god's aura spread far and wide. Lu Ming pulled himself together and focused. He spread out his spiritual consciousness and paid attention to every movement around him. Although Wan Shen was next to him, he did not dare to be careless. He knew very well how terrifying the heavenly human race was. If he was not careful, he would die. Chapter 33-22. Lu Ming waited quietly for the arrival of the heavenly human race. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours passed. Swoosh! Suddenly, a dazzling sword light flashed and pierced towards Lu Ming from afar. It illuminated the starry sky and was extremely terrifying. The heavenly human race had made their move. The sword light was too fast, so fast that Lu Ming could not react in time. However, someone was faster than the sword light, and that was the Wan Shen. A stone spear pierced through the void and flew out, colliding with the sword light and destroying it. Almost at the same time, the Wan Shen's figure appeared in the sky. He opened his mouth and let out a long roar. A long river rushed forward and enveloped a silver-haired man. The silver-haired man screamed and his body exploded in the long river. Kill! The Wan Shen held the stone spear in his hand and swept across the starry sky. The stone spear turned into a huge spear, and when it swept across the starry sky, a huge explosion occurred. The next moment, the sword light surged. In an instant, more than 10 sword lights burst out and slashed towards the Wan Shen's stone spear. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying explosions sounded continuously. The stone spear trembled and was pushed back. Then, figures appeared in the void. They were all from the heavenly human race. There were 3 golden-haired men and 10 silver-haired men. There were a total of 13 of them. The number was more than what Lu Ming and the others had faced previously. Obviously, the number of people gathered was even greater. At this moment, Lu Ming had already taken out the purple copper coffin and retreated quickly. He was ready to open the copper coffin. There are so many of them. Can the Wan Shen fight against them? Lu Ming immediately became nervous. So many heavenly human race members were extremely terrifying. Could the Wan Shen fight against them? Lu Ming was ready. If the Wan Shen could not win, he would take the risk to open the purple copper coffin and scare the heavenly human race away. Kill! However, the Wan Shen was extremely powerful. He roared and his battle spirit soared into the sky. He held the stone spear in his hand and pierced through the void. The stone spear pierced through the void and charged towards a silver-haired man. Clang! Clang! The sound of swords rang out continuously. The 3 golden-haired men and the 10 silver-haired men moved at the same time. The terrifying sword light seemed to split the continent under their feet. Clang, clang, clang. Both sides continued to exchange blows, exchanging hundreds of blows in an instant. The stone spear in Myriad God's hand kept trembling. Finally, it produced cracking sounds as cracks appeared on its surface. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed. This stone spear was the Myriad God's quintessence secret technique. Now that it had cracked, the Myriad God's combat strength would be greatly affected. Bam! Just as Lu Ming thought of this, Myriad God's stone spear exploded and dissipated into energy. Not good. Lu Ming was greatly alarmed. He was just about to rush over and risk opening the purple copper coffin to scare away the celestial race. However, at this moment, the Myriad God roared angrily. Terrifying fluctuations emanated from his body. Extremely dense divine power erupted like a volcano. Following that, a large bell condensed on his body. It was made of stone and enveloped him. Those sword lights slashed on the big bell, causing a violent roar, but they did not break the big bell's defense. Another origin secret technique. Lu Ming was tongue-tied. This was already the 3rd origin secret technique that the Myriad God had used. However, in the next moment, Lu Ming's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. His mouth opened so wide that it could fit a duck egg. Boom! Divine power boiled on the Myriad God's body. Then, a stone saber condensed and slashed at a silver-haired man with a shocking saber light. Following that, a stone sword flew out and attacked a golden-haired man. This was not the end. Then, an ancient stone door exuding a vast aura suppressed the golden-haired man. The Gate of Domination. This was the Gate of Domination. It was exactly the same as Lu Ming's Gate of Domination. Then, a vortex appeared, erupting with a terrifying devouring power that enveloped the 2 silver-haired men. A stone pagoda appeared. An ancient volcano. Origin secret techniques. All of them were origin secret techniques. Lu Ming stared blankly at the myriad gods' various origin secret techniques. At a rough glance, there were more than a dozen of them. A single person could control more than a dozen origin secret techniques. What was going on? Lu Ming was completely dumbfounded. Moreover, the myriad gods' divine power was unimaginably vast. It was also filled with an ancient aura. Lu Ming had no idea how many times the myriad gods' divine power had awakened. Boom, boom, boom. More than a dozen origin secret techniques rained down. In an instant, the 7 silver-haired men of 9 Nether exploded and died on the spot. The remaining 3 silver-haired men were also heavily injured and vomited blood. The 3 golden-haired men fared better. They managed to block the attacks and were only pushed back. Kill. The myriad god launched a second wave of attacks. More than a dozen origin secret techniques rained down on the remaining celestials. The 3 silver-haired men were directly killed, not even leaving behind ashes. As for the 3 golden-haired men, they vomited blood and retreated. They were heavily injured. One of the golden-haired men was even cleaved in half by a stone sword and almost died. Then, the myriad god launched a third wave of attacks. More than a dozen origin secret techniques rained down on the 3 golden-haired men. The attacks were like an ocean, a torrential downpour. Boom, boom. The 3 golden-haired men resisted with all their might, but they were completely suppressed and forced to retreat. They wanted to charge out of the encirclement, but they were surrounded by origin secret techniques. Their path of retreat was blocked off. Pang! After a few moves, the golden-haired man who had been cleaved in half was suppressed by an ancient door. His body exploded into a bloody mist. The remaining 2 golden-haired men were no match for the myriad god and were completely suppressed. This battle did not last long. The 2 golden-haired men were also killed by the myriad god. With that, the 3 golden-haired men and the 10 silver-haired men were completely wiped out. For a long time, Lu Ming was still unable to react. He was stunned by the myriad god's strength. The golden-haired and silver-haired men's combat strength was absolutely terrifying. It was extremely easy for them to kill peak godly kings of the same level. Only extremely powerful geniuses would be able to fight against the heavenly human tribe when they were at the same level. However, the 3 golden-haired men and the 10 silver-haired men were completely wiped out by the myriad god. They could not even escape. The myriad god's combat strength was probably enough to kill the typical godly lord. That was what Lu Ming thought. Godly lords were much stronger than godly kings. It was very difficult for the average person to fight across levels. However, the myriad god was just too terrifying. He was more terrifying than any genius Lu Ming had ever seen. Not only could he fight across levels, but he could also kill enemies across levels. More than a dozen origin secret techniques rained down from the sky. Who could withstand them? Kid, this is normal. He is formed from the flesh and blood essence of countless primordial figures. Who knows how much potential he contains? His potential is probably still far from being unearthed. A miracle. It's truly a miracle. There have been countless wars in history, and how many experts have died? But to be able to give birth to such a perfect life form is simply a miracle. It can't be replicated. Bone Demon exclaimed repeatedly. Chapter 33-23. In the long history of the primitive universe, there had been countless wars and countless experts had died in battle. The flesh and blood left behind by these experts would evolve into all kinds of living beings. However, most of them would evolve into the unintelligent monsters that Lu Ming had encountered before. Although they were powerful, their potential was limited. The stronger ones would evolve into the golden-haired man and silver-haired man, which was already incredible. It was a miracle that they could evolve into Wan Shen. Even though Gu Mo was experienced and knowledgeable, this was his first time encountering such a thing. At this moment, Wan Shen put away all the origin secret techniques and flew to Lu Ming's side. His face was not red and he was not out of breath. This was something that even Lu Ming was envious of. Using so many origin secret techniques at the same time, an ordinary person would have been drained dry. However, Wan Shen seemed to be fine, which made Lu Ming extremely envious. Wan Shen, when you go out with me in the future, you have to keep a low profile. Don't use so many origin secret techniques at once. Then, Lu Ming warned him seriously. Using more than 10 origin secret techniques at once was too crazy. If he was outside, he would definitely be studied like a monster. Not to mention more than 10, Lu Ming did not dare to use 5 at the moment. Otherwise, he would also be captured and studied like a monster. Okay. Wan Shen scratched his head. Although it was a little strange, he would do whatever Lu Ming said. Then, Lu Ming discussed with Wan Shen and decided to continue attracting the remaining heavenly humans. There was still a golden-haired man and 3 silver-haired men left. If he did not get rid of all of them, it would not be safe. The heavenly humans like to appear in a mountain range on the right. Let's go there and attract, Wan Shen said. Then the 2 of them went to the right. Soon, they saw a huge mountain range. This mountain range emitted extremely terrifying waves of energy. When Lu Ming arrived, he felt a powerful pressure that was like the might of the heavens. Guo guessed that powerful heavenly humans might have died in this mountain range. The pressure of the heavenly humans would not dissipate for billions of years. Therefore, the evolved heavenly humans liked to roam around here. After the myriad god hid, Lu Ming sat cross-legged nearby and put away the purple copper coffin. Sure enough, it wasn't long before the heavenly human tribe launched an attack. This time, a golden-haired man and 3 silver-haired men all came out. As soon as the celestial race appeared, the myriad gods attacked. 1 golden-haired man and 3 silver-haired men were not a match for myriad god at all. They were easily crushed and quickly killed. Amazing! Lu Ming could not help but sigh. The celestial race, who had caused them so much trouble, was of little use in the hands of the myriad gods. In the past, the reason why the myriad gods had not eliminated the celestial race was because when the myriad gods had awakened, they were still weak. They were far from being as strong as they were now. Facing the celestial race, they were destined to be defeated. Later on, as he grew stronger, the celestial tribe no longer dared to take the initiative to attack the myriad gods. Thus, the 2 sides continued to be entangled. Now that the celestial race had been lured over by Lu Ming, the myriad gods had seized the opportunity to kill them. After killing all the celestial race, Lu Ming relaxed and put away the purple copper coffin. In the future, he would not have to carry the purple copper coffin every day. After killing the celestial race, Lu Ming took out the primordial idol again and began to find a place to absorb the god factor. Not long after, they came to a mountain range. This mountain range contained rich god factor, but there were many powerful monsters living here. However, with a great expert like the myriad gods here, all problems were not a problem. The myriad gods had wiped out all the monsters in this place. The strength of 1 person was much stronger than 36 Dark Ape Battle Tribe members. Lu Ming calmly allowed the primordial idol to absorb the god factor. The mountain range resonated with the primordial idol, forming ribbons of light that flew toward the primordial idol and were absorbed by the primordial idol. The primordial idol shone and accumulated more and more god factor. After half a day, the god factor that flew out of the mountain range became fewer and fainter. At this time, the primordial idol suddenly emitted a powerful fluctuation. This fluctuation was extremely mysterious. Shrouded by this fluctuation, Lu Ming's soul seemed to have entered a state of emptiness. He seemed to see the primordial idol roaring and cultivating. This allowed him to comprehend the various divine powers several times faster. Success! The consecration is successful. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He knew that the primordial idol had finally been consecrated. Now that he cultivated under the primordial idol and bathed in the mysterious fluctuation of the primordial idol, the speed of comprehending the god factor of origin or secret arts of origin would be several times faster. However, the effect was still many times worse than the effect in the Pantheon Garden. This was because the primordial idol had absorbed very little god factor. After the primordial idol was consecrated, it did not stop absorbing god factor. On the contrary, consecration was only the first step. After consecration, it could continue to absorb god factor. The more god factor it absorbed, the better the effect of the primordial idol. Lu Ming planned to continue absorbing god factor on this continent. Brother Lu, do you still need this god factor? At this moment, the myriad gods spoke. Lu Ming was the one who asked him to call him Brother Lu. Based on the time that the myriad god had awakened, he was indeed younger than Lu Ming. Do you know where it is? Lu Ming asked. I know. Near the place where I awakened, there is a place with a large amount of god factor. The myriad god said. A large amount? A lot? How is it compared to here? Lu Ming asked. Probably tens of thousands of times more than here. I'm not too sure about the specifics, the myriad god muttered. Tens Tens of thousands of times? Lu Ming's eyes widened as his heart raced. Go quickly. If you say you want to snatch it from me, I'll fight you. Then, Lu Ming roared in excitement. Following that, Lu Ming followed the myriad god and headed towards the core of the continent. About half a day later, they arrived at a huge open space. This open space was filled with all kinds of hills and strange grasses. Lu Ming took out the primordial idol. The primordial idol immediately emitted a dazzling radiance. Then, ribbons of light appeared in the open space. Countless ribbons of light converged toward the primordial idol and entered it. God factor, all of it was God factor. It was so rich that it exceeded Lu Ming's imagination. It was probably even richer than what the myriad god had described. I'm rich. After absorbing so much God factor, what level will my primordial idol reach? Lu Ming was extremely excited. The primordial idol was extremely important. The stronger the effect, the more he could cultivate in the primordial idol and increase his comprehension speed. His friends and family could do the same. In a minor kiliocosm, the effect was equivalent to the Enlightenment ancient tree or even greater. Chapter 33-24. Another reason was to use the primordial deity statue as the foundation after establishing a clan. The better the effect of the primordial deity statue, the more experts it could attract. If those experts wanted to join and work for you, there had to be something that attracted them, such as secret techniques and treasures, or powerful strength that could protect others. However, what could be more attractive than increasing one's strength? For example, some heavenly kings or marquee palaces could attract a large number of experts to join because of a good primordial deity statue. For example, the divine statue garden of the Great Void Imperial Academy was a place that ordinary people could not enter to cultivate. If one wanted to cultivate there, the foundation was to become a student of the Great Void Imperial Academy. Moreover, one had to fight in the purgatory arena to earn purgatory points before they could cultivate. Not everyone could be like Lu Ming and Autumn Moon, who spent their days in the divine statue garden. Therefore it was obvious how useful a good primordial deity statue was. Whoosh! Countless god factors gathered toward the primordial deity statue. The primordial deity statue was shrouded in a mysterious light. Lu Ming was delighted to see this. Absorbing god factors like this felt great. What was the point of absorbing god factors like before? Guemo also sighed. He guessed that this area was probably the place where the primordial deity statue was buried. Otherwise, there would not be such a high concentration of god factors. After all, it had been too long since the battle between the heavenly human tribe and the primordial deity statue. After such a long time, even a powerful being like the primordial deity statue would lose a lot of god factors after death. As time passed, the god factors would become fainter and fainter. One day, there would be no more god factors in this world. By the way, Wan Shen, where did you wake up? Lu Ming's heart stirred as he asked. Lu Ming was very curious about what kind of land of creation it was to be able to nurture an existence like the myriad god. It's not far away. I'll take you there. It might be useful to you. Wan Shen said. Then he leaped forward. Lu Ming followed. He left the primordial deity statue there and let it absorb god factors on its own. In fact, it was not far. They arrived in a short while. It's there, Wan Shen pointed ahead. Lu Ming looked over. There was a small lake in front of him. Calling it a lake was a bit of an exaggeration. It was more like a pond, about 100 meters in length and width. As soon as he arrived, Lu Ming could feel a terrifying aura approaching him. This aura was primordial and ancient, lofty and invincible. It was as if the most ancient and powerful existence in the universe was sitting there cross-legged. Under the pressure of this aura, Lu Ming almost knelt down. His entire body was in intense pain, and he felt like his body was about to split apart. Dong dong dong. Lu Ming's ancient god's heart could not help but beat like a big drum. Roar! Lu Ming could not help but let out a low growl. He did not use the ancient god tactics, but his body changed involuntarily. He swelled up rapidly and turned into a green-armored ancient god. After he transformed into the green-armored ancient god, the oppressive force outside instantly disappeared. Instead of feeling uncomfortable, Lu Ming felt a sense of familiarity. This is the flesh and blood essence of the primordial divine spirit. My God, there is still so much left, Guemo exclaimed. This is the flesh and blood essence left behind by the primordial divine spirit. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The so-called flesh and blood essence of the primordial divine spirit no longer existed. It had melted away, leaving behind only the purest essence. This was definitely a supreme treasure, especially for someone like Lu Ming who cultivated the ancient god body. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. If he could absorb and refine the flesh and blood essence of the primordial divine spirit, his ancient god body would definitely improve. Wan Shen, don't you need these? Lu Ming asked. I don't need them. If I want to improve, I have to rely on cultivation. Wan Shen shook his head. All right, I will go cultivate. You protect me. Lu Ming said. All right, don't worry. Wan Shen nodded. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He stepped forward and stepped into the pond. This pond contained the flesh and blood essence of the primordial divine spirit and contained the terrifying killing intent of the primordial divine spirit. If anyone else had entered, they would have been killed instantly. However, Lu Ming had the ancient god bloodline, the ancient god heart, and cultivated the ancient god body. This killing intent was not targeted at him. Lu Ming sat cross-legged in the pond and circulated the ancient god body. Immediately, the liquid in the pond turned into surging energy that rushed into Lu Ming's body. The moment this energy entered Lu Ming's body, it rushed toward the ancient god heart. Thump, thump, thump. The ancient god heart began to beat violently. Lu Ming circulated the ancient god tactic and began to refine the energy. Soon, the energy overflowed from the ancient god heart and turned into Lu Ming's blood essence. It seeped into every part of Lu Ming's body and into every cell. Lu Ming could clearly feel that his body was transforming. The process of transforming in the direction of becoming stronger was very carefree. Lu Ming was engrossed in this process and focused on cultivating. Unknowingly, a few months had passed. A portion of the liquid in the pond had already disappeared. At this time, Lu Ming's body had finally transformed to the extreme. Roar! Lu Ming could not help but let out a low growl. His body began to make crackling sounds. Then, his body actually became bigger again and swelled crazily. Originally, he was only 200 to 300 meters tall. Now he was rapidly growing. 400 meters, 500 meters, 600 meters. Finally, he stopped growing when he was 1,000 meters tall. At this time, the color of Lu Ming's scales changed from green to blue. Blue-armored ancient god. Lu Ming's ancient god body, which had been stagnant for a long time, finally transformed into a blue-armored ancient god. What powerful energy! Lu Ming felt that his body was filled with violent energy. It was as though he had really become an ancient god, a primordial divine spirit. Every move of his was filled with violent energy. Amazing! The higher the level of the ancient god body, the harder it is to upgrade it. However, with every upgrade, the increase in strength will also increase by a large margin. Lu Ming was very satisfied. He felt that the blue-armored ancient god body was several times more effective than the green-armored ancient god body. If Lu Ming had previously wanted to kill an ordinary 8th-layer King God Realm expert, it would be a piece of cake for him now that Lu Ming had transformed into a blue-armored ancient god. He could easily kill an 8th-layer King God Realm expert. Continue. Lu Ming continued to operate the ancient god tactics to absorb the liquid. He was only a new blue-armored ancient god. There was still a long way to go before he could transform into a purple-armored ancient god. There was still some liquid left. After absorbing it, the process would be greatly shortened. Perhaps, it could even help Lu Ming break through and become a purple-armored ancient god. At this time, a violent roar came from afar. There was sword energy rushing into the sky, divine light surging, and the roar of monsters. Chapter 33-25. A great battle broke out in the distance. Divine light surged. Lu Ming was alarmed. He looked into the distance and saw figures flashing in the void. They were fighting fiercely with the monsters. The others are here. Lu Ming frowned. If the others found this place, Lu Ming would not be able to cultivate as much as he wanted. He would not be able to let the primordial god statue absorb the god factor. Wan Shen, can you drive them away? Lu Ming asked Wan Shen telepathically. Leave it to me. Do you want to kill them or drive them away? Wan Shen asked. Just drive them away. Lu Ming said. After all, apart from Wu Fan, Chu Chengkong, and Lu Quan, the rest of the people who came in this time did not have any feud with him. Lu Ming naturally would not kill all of them. All right, I'll take care of them soon. Wan Shen nodded. His figure flashed and he left the place. Not long after, a stone spear pierced through the sky. It exploded with violent energy waves and was accompanied by angry roars. However, the commotion did not last long before it quieted down. Not long after, Wan Shen appeared not far away in a flash. "I drove them away," Wan Shen said. "All right." Lu Ming smiled. He was not surprised. With Wan Shen's strength, it was easy for him to kill the heavenly human tribe experts, let alone ordinary peak divine kings. It did not matter if there were more of them. Lu Ming continued to cultivate. Wan Shen stood guard for Lu Ming. If anything happened, he could deal with it easily. A year passed just like that. Lu Ming had completely absorbed and refined the liquid in the pond. His ancient god's heart was filled with exuberant life force, beating non-stop like the beating of a divine drum. Unfortunately, his ancient god body did not evolve again. It was still the blue-armored ancient god body. However, Lu Ming had a feeling that he had reached the peak of the blue-armored ancient god body. He was not far away from evolving into the purple-armored ancient god body. Not only that, during the evolution of his ancient god body, Lu Ming's cultivation base also increased. During this time, Lu Ming's cultivation base had broken through one more level. He had reached the fifth sky of King God Realm. Lu Ming had just broken through to the fourth tier of the King God Realm. It was incredible that he had broken through to the next tier. Phew! Lu Ming exhaled and ended his cultivation. With my current strength, if I go all out, can I fight with a peak divine king? Lu Ming smiled and clenched his fist, feeling the powerful force. Of course, Lu Ming was referring to ordinary peak divine kings. If it was a peak divine king like the celestial race, he would definitely not be a match. I wonder how the primordial idol is doing with the absorption? With a thought, Lu Ming flew towards the primordial statue. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived at the place where the primordial idol was placed. After more than a year of absorbing God essence, the primordial idol was covered with a layer of mysterious light. It was more dazzling and the fluctuation was more intense. However, there was still an endless amount of God essence flying towards the primordial idol. The amount of God essence in this area was shocking, as if it was endless. Anyway, it's still early. I should continue to absorb it. Lu Ming thought for a while. Then, he came to the primordial idol and sat down cross-legged. He started to comprehend the origin God essence. Instantly, he fell into a wonderful state. It was as if he saw countless primordial God essences fighting fiercely. Different kinds of God essences were surging. Lu Ming found the corresponding God essences easily. The effect is so good. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He found that the effect of cultivating under this primordial idol was comparable to the other idols in the Garden of Gods. Although it was not as good as the best idols in the Garden of Gods, it was not too far off. And this was only the effect of absorbing for more than a year. There was still time. Lu Ming could stay for another 7 or 8 years. By then, how amazing would the effect of the primordial idol be? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. Next, Lu Ming cultivated in peace and waited for time to pass. Time flew by. 1 year, 2 years. As time passed, as the primordial idol absorbed more God essence, the mysteries it revealed became more shocking. Every time Lu Ming closed his eyes to cultivate, it was as if there was a primordial God sitting beside him. Lu Ming bathed in the vast primordial God essence. His understanding of various God essences became deeper and deeper. Soon, more than 7 years had passed. At this time, the mysteries of the primordial idol had reached an astonishing level. It had completely surpassed any idol in the Garden of Gods, and not just by a little bit. In the future, Lu Ming did not need to cultivate in the Garden of Gods anymore. He could cultivate under his own primordial idol, and the effects were many times better than in the Garden of Gods. I'm going out. I can't bear to part with it. Lu Ming sighed. After absorbing for so long, he still hadn't finished absorbing all the God's spiritual factors in this territory. There was still a lot left. Lu Ming regretted giving the small primordial idol to the Dark Ape Battle Tribe. Otherwise, he could have taken it here to absorb it. But no matter how reluctant he was, Lu Ming had to leave. He had been here for more than 9 years. A total of 10 years. He had less than a year left. It would take a long time to return to where they came from. He had to leave plenty of time. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming put the primordial idol into the Jingyu scroll. Myriad gods, Let's go out. Lu Ming said. Okay, okay. Myriad gods nodded repeatedly, looking excited and expectant. Since he woke up, he had stayed in this place. In his soul, there was some incomplete information. He knew that the outside world was vast and he had been looking forward to it. Unfortunately, he could not get out. Now that he could get out, he was naturally looking forward to it. Immediately, Lu Ming brought myriad gods and flew in the direction he came from. After flying for a while, Lu Ming nodded and saw a group of people in the distance. The leader was a young man and he was Di Jenny. Obviously, Di Jenny had brought experts to this continent to search for God essence. They were among the group of people that I chased away back then, myriad gods muttered. Lu Ming smiled. Di Jenny was impressive. But when he encountered myriad gods, he could only be chased away. At this moment, Di Jenny also noticed Lu Ming. When he saw myriad gods beside Lu Ming, his eyes were filled with shock and fear. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He did not stop and continued to fly forward. Soon they were about to reach the edge of the continent. Someone's here. All of a sudden, the myriad gods spoke and stopped. At the same time, Lu Ming was alarmed. He sensed a sense of danger coming from all directions. He could not help but stop in his tracks. Who is it? Lu Ming shouted coldly as he looked around. He Lu Ming, I did not expect you to discover us. A sneer was heard. Then in a flash, a group of people appeared and surrounded Lu Ming and myriad gods. Wu Fan. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Chapter 33-26. Lu Ming had not expected to meet Wu Fan at the edge of the mainland. Lu Ming looked around and realized that Wu Fan had not lost any of his men. There were still 36 of them. Just the two of you. Lu Ming, it seems like you have lost all your men. Ha ha. Now let's see how you will die. Wu Fan laughed and revealed a cold-killing intent. He looked as though he was sure that Lu Ming would die. Wan Shen, were they not among the men you chased away? Lu Ming ignored Wu Fan and sent a message to Wan Shen. They were not among us. Wan Shen replied. Lu Ming nodded. If Wu Fan and his men were among the men that Wan Shen had chased away, Wu Fan would not be so arrogant when he saw Lu Ming with Wan Shen. He looked as though he was sure that he would defeat Lu Ming. Seeing that Lu Ming had ignored him, Wu Fan's face turned ferocious and his killing intent intensified. Brat, you still dare to be arrogant in front of me. I will make you die a horrible death. No, I will not let you die so easily. I will make you wish that you were dead. Wu Fan roared like a wild beast. Is that so? I would like to see how you are going to make me wish that I was dead. Lu Ming smiled faintly and stepped forward, walking toward Wu Fan. Wu Fan was shocked and retreated. At the same time he roared, attack. Cripple this bastard. Brat, kneel down and apologize to young master. A middle-aged man stepped out from behind Wu Fan and the aura of a peak divine king exploded. The violent aura pressed down on Lu Ming like a mountain and wanted to force Lu Ming to kneel down. However, Lu Ming's body shook slightly and blocked the pressure. The middle-aged man was shocked. He had not expected Lu Ming to be able to block his pressure. He was furious and slapped down on Lu Ming. He shouted, kneel down. A huge palm pressed down on Lu Ming's head. Swoosh. Behind Lu Ming, a stone spear stabbed out towards the palm. With a poochie sound, the palm was directly pierced through, and blood flowed out. Ah! The middle-aged man let out a blood-curdling scream and retreated. However, the stone spear was even faster. It caught up to the middle-aged man in an instant. The middle-aged man let out a furious roar and tried his best to block it. However, it was useless. His defense was penetrated. Then, his head was also pierced by the stone spear. The middle-aged man, a peak divine king, was killed in an instant. Wu Fan and the others were stunned as they stared blankly at Wan Shen. That was a peak divine king, yet he was killed so easily. Who was the myriad god? Damn it! Let's attack together and kill these two bastards. After being stunned for a while, Wu Fan finally reacted and let out a wolf-like howl. Boom boom boom. Wu Fan's subordinates erupted like volcanoes, bursting with powerful auras. At the same time they attacked. All sorts of attacks were launched at Lu Ming and myriad god. An ancient and desolate aura erupted from Wan Shen's body. Then, a stone bell appeared, enveloping him and Lu Ming within it. The attacks from all directions landed on the stone bell. However, only clanging sounds could be heard. They did not break through the stone bell's defense. Kill! Then, Wan Shen shouted. He opened his mouth and a silver river rushed out. 2 experts were enveloped by the silver river. They screamed as their bodies melted in the silver river. At the same time, Wan Shen held the long spear in his hand and charged out. The long spear swept out and the tip of the spear broke through the opponent's attack, cutting off the head of a peak divine king. The moment he attacked, he killed 3 peak divine king realm experts. After killing 3 people, Wan Shen did not stop moving. He continued to attack and killed his way into the crowd. Like a tiger entering a pack of wolves, the battle was completely one-sided. Screams could be heard as people were killed at every moment. In less than a minute, more than a dozen of the 36 peak divine king realm experts were killed. Not far away, Wu Fan's body was trembling. His face was pale and there was no trace of blood. Fear, endless fear. He was shrouded in endless fear. Those were peak divine kings. However, in the hands of Wan Shen, they were as weak as little chicks. He was not the only one. The remaining people were also terrified. Young master, let's go. An old man turned and ran. He wanted to escape with Wu Fan. Wan Shen, don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all. Don't let them escape. Lu Ming shouted. Understood. Kill. Wan Shen shouted. His aura became even more violent. Stone sabers, stone swords, stone pagodas, etc. appeared around him. They were all secret techniques of origin. Wu Fan and the remaining people were almost scared to death. All of them were secret techniques of origin. There were more than a dozen of them. This was too terrifying. It was beyond their knowledge. What kind of monster had they encountered? Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. All kinds of secret techniques of origin shot out. In an instant, 7 to 8 experts were killed. Run! The remaining people were almost scared to death. They could not care less about Wu Fan and fled in all directions. All of you stay here. Wan Shen shouted and chased after the other party. A pair of wings appeared behind Wan Shen's back. With a flap, his speed increased tremendously. In an instant, he caught up with an expert. With a swing of his stone saber, he killed the expert. Then, with a flap of his wings, he chased after the next person. This was also a secret technique of origin. Lu Ming had not seen it before. How many secret techniques of origin has this guy mastered? Lu Ming was envious. What was a monster? What was a monster? Lu Ming had always been regarded as a monster. However, he now felt that Wan Shen was the real monster. He had mastered so many secret techniques of origin. There were offensive, defensive, and speed types. He had everything. There was no weakness. Soon, the second expert was caught and killed by Wan Shen. Wan Shen continued to chase after the next expert. At this moment, an old man was carrying Wu Fan and running in a direction. Wan Shen, leave that guy to me. Lu Ming transmitted a message to Wan Shen. He wanted him to chase after the others and leave Wu Fan to him. Then, he used the 9 Heavens Kuan Peng technique and chased after Wu Fan. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, using the 9 Heavens Kuan Peng technique with all his might, his speed was not any slower than an ordinary peak divine king. He followed closely behind Wu Fan. The old man carried Wu Fan and flew out of the continent. They flew into the starry sky and did not dare to stop for a moment. Lu Ming chased after them. Their speed was too shocking. Soon, they had crossed a distance of tens of billions of miles and leaped over many broken planets. This brat dares to chase after us alone. Stop and kill him. Wu Fan roared. His face was ferocious. He hated Lu Ming to the core. Now that he saw Lu Ming chasing after them alone while Wan Shen chased after the others, his killing intent surged. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. The old man's eyes flickered and he stopped with Wu Fan. Go and kill him. Wu Fan pointed at Lu Ming and roared. Chapter 33-27. The old man beside Wu Fan was also a peak supreme god. In his opinion, killing Lu Ming was as easy as lifting a finger. It would not take much time. Kill! The old man did not hesitate and charged towards Lu Ming. His palm was like a knife as it slashed towards Lu Ming. He had used all his strength to kill Lu Ming in an instant. The strength of Wan Shen terrified him. He had to kill Lu Ming in the shortest time possible and escape with Wu Fan. As long as they escaped, they could report this matter to the Grand Tutor. Lu Ming had killed so many people from the Grand Tutor's residence. They could easily find a reason to convict Lu Ming and let Lu Ming die without a burial place. Rumble! The old man's palm slashed down and the void exploded. The violent force pressed down on Lu Ming. Peak Supreme God. I want to see how strong you are. Lu Ming shouted. In an instant, he activated the battle character art to increase his combat strength by 4 times. He circulated all the divine power in his body and displayed the heavenly demon golden body. He threw a punch at the old man's palm. How dare you fight me head-on? You are overestimating yourself. The old man sneered. Lu Ming was a junior who had just joined the Great Void Imperial Family Saint Academy. Yet, he dared to fight him head-on instead of retreating. In his opinion, Lu Ming was an idiot and he was courting death. He wanted to use this move to smash Lu Ming into pieces. Boom! Finally, the 2 attacks collided and there was a terrifying explosion. The void shook violently and shockwaves spread out in all directions. Then, the old man and Lu Ming's bodies shook violently and they retreated. The difference was that the old man only retreated 3 steps while Lu Ming retreated more than 10 steps. Although the old man retreated even less, his heart was in a perilous situation at that moment. You! The old man stared at Lu Ming in disbelief. Just now, he had felt that Lu Ming's punch contained an incomparably terrifying power. That punch had actually forced him back. As for Lu Ming, he was only pushed back a dozen steps and was completely fine. How was this possible? He was a peak divine king, while Lu Ming was merely a new student who had just joined the Great Void Imperial Academy. Yet, Lu Ming was actually able to resist him. If he had not experienced it personally, he would not have believed it. What are you doing? Why aren't you killing him? What are you doing here? Behind him, Wu Fan roared. He was incomparably irritable. He thought that the old man didn't use much strength, which was why he didn't kill Lu Ming. What time was it now? It was a matter of life and death. What if that terrifying young man from before came chasing after them? At this time, the old man was still dilly-dallying. He wanted nothing more than to kick the old man in the face. The old man grumbled in his heart, but it was impossible for him to back down now. Kill! The old man roared and pushed his strength to the extreme. He displayed a terrifying secret skill and charged towards Lu Ming. Ancient God Tactic. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He displayed the Ancient God Tactic. His body swelled rapidly and turned into a blue-armored ancient god. He was 1,000 meters tall. This is a blue-armored ancient god. Wu Fan saw it and almost bit his tongue. He was trembling in fear. Lu Ming had actually cultivated the ancient god tactic to the blue-armored level. He had never heard of this before. After turning into a blue-armored ancient god, Lu Ming grabbed the void. The overbearing god spear appeared and was caught in his hand. The overbearing god spear vibrated and was incomparably huge. It whipped towards the old man, causing the void to explode continuously. Boom! The 2 sides collided again. This time, both of them retreated. However, the distance between them was about the same. How is this possible? The old man was extremely shocked. Previously, it could be said that he had not used all of his strength. However, now that he had used all of his strength, not only did he not gain the upper hand, but they were also on par. He did not want to fight anymore. He wanted to retreat and escape with Wu Fan. However, Lu Ming would not give him the chance. Yin Yang God Eye. Lu Ming shouted and displayed his Yin Yang God Eye. His eyes turned into 2 different colored vortexes. Terrifying runes appeared in the void. They were like silk threads that wrapped around the old man. The old man's face changed. His body glowed and a few sacred weapons flew out. Under his control, they attacked with all their might. However, those silk threads were formed by the Yin Yang God Eye runes. They were extremely tough and could not be broken. At the same time, Lu Ming waved the overbearing god spear and controlled the gate of domination to attack the old man. Boom! Boom! The 2 of them fought fiercely and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 blows. At this moment, Wu Fan finally realized that something was wrong. How was it that the old man was not using all of his strength? It was obvious that Lu Ming was too strong and the old man was evenly matched. How is this possible? How is this possible? Impossible. Wu Fan shook his head. He could not accept it. Lu Ming could actually fight a peak divine king. During the Taishu dynasty, although Lu Ming was strong, he was not much stronger than him. However, now, he could probably kill him with a flip of his hand. This despicable piece of trash, how is this possible? Wu Fan kept growling. He was so jealous that he was going crazy. In his opinion, Lu Ming did not have any powerful backing and was of humble origin. However, he had the Imperial Preceptor and the Imperial Preceptor's residence behind him. He had plenty of resources and could get anything he wanted. However, in terms of cultivation and combat strength, he could not compare to Lu Ming. Why was he not the one who had improved so quickly? However, he immediately shuddered. The old man could not kill Lu Ming. When that terrifying existence arrived, he would be dead meat. Thinking of this, he could no longer care about the old man. He turned and ran. However, just as Wu Fan turned, a figure appeared behind him. It was Wan Shen. Ah! Seeing Wan Shen, Wu Fan screamed in fright. He instinctively attacked Wan Shen. However, he was slapped in the face by Wan Shen. He only regained his senses after a long while. Let me go. I am the son of the Imperial Preceptor. My father is the current Imperial Preceptor. If you let me go, I can give you anything. I can even let you have a meteoric rise. You can get whatever you want. Why do you have to follow that Lu Ming? Wu Fan shouted. He wanted to bribe Wan Shen. However, what he received was another slap from Wan Shen. This time, Wan Shen used more force. Wan Shen screamed in pain. He was severely injured and was half dead. Wan Shen held him in his hand. Lu Ming and the old man were still fighting. They had already exchanged more than 100 moves. Awesome. This is awesome. The strength of a peak divine king is indeed powerful. Lu Ming felt extremely carefree. His various attacks became smoother and smoother. Gradually, he began to gain the upper hand. As for the old man, he became more and more alarmed. When he saw Wan Shen appear, he panicked. You have lost your fighting spirit. What's the use of keeping you alive? I'll send you on your way, Lu Ming said coldly. Boom. The aura in his body surged again. The battle formula had quintupled his combat power. Now the probability of Lu Ming activating the battle formula was about 1 in 10. During the previous battle, Lu Ming had been trying to activate it. Now he had finally succeeded. Chapter 33-28. After activating the battle character art, Lu Ming's combat strength had increased by a notch. Boom! The overbearing god's spear flew across the sky and clashed with the old man. The old man was sent flying back as his body trembled and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. In the previous battle, Lu Ming did not use his full strength and even hid his strength. What kind of monster was he? Run! The old man did not dare to continue the battle and wanted to run away. However, there were runes formed by the Yin-Yang God Eye that wrapped around him. These runes had terrifying power. If he was an 8th realm divine king, he would have been shredded into pieces by the runes. The divine force around the old man's body trembled and was almost cut apart. You won't be able to escape today. Dang! Lu Ming said coldly. The divine force in his body surged into Lu Ming's body. Bas! Bas! A sun and a moon appeared above Lu Ming's head. The sun and moon pressed down on the old man. At the same time, the sovereign's gate came crashing down. Lu Ming wielded the overbearing god's spear and executed the god of war strike. Origin secret technique. The old man let out a desperate and incredulous roar as he tried his best to resist. However, his fate was sealed. Boom! Boom! After a series of explosions, the old man coughed out blood as he was sent flying. He was severely injured. Sizzle! The runes formed by the Yin-Yang God Eye wrapped around the old man. The old man was severely injured and could not resist the attack. He was shredded into pieces by the runes and died on the spot. Lu Ming had single-handedly killed a peak divine king. Although it was just an ordinary peak divine king, it was enough to prove Lu Ming's strength. One should know that a peak divine king in the 9 extinction Heavenly King Mansion was equivalent to the Jin family and the Qin family. They were overlords. However, Lu Ming had already grown to such a level. Origin secret technique. So many origin secret techniques. Wu Fan was almost scared to death. His eyes were wide open as he stared at Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming put away all of his origin secret techniques. His body shrank and returned to his normal state. He felt limited and exhausted. The myriad gods are still the best. Lu Ming could not help but think. Myriad God had used so many origin secret techniques, but he remained unperturbed. And if not for the help of the quantifying character formula, he would not have been able to do it at all. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and arrived beside Wan Xin. Cold killing intent enveloped Wu Fan. Now, let's see who will kill who. Lu Ming looked at Wu Fan coldly. Lu Ming, you dare to kill me? My father is the state preceptor. If you kill me and my father finds out, you will be dead. Everyone related to you will die. Wu Fan roared angrily as he glared coldly at Lu Ming. Even now, he was still threatening Lu Ming. Lu Ming was so angry that he laughed. Now, you are the only one left. I don't dare to kill you. If I kill you, who will know? Lu Ming said indifferently. Humph, I'll tell you the truth. My father knows that I'm going to kill you this time. If I die and you don't, my father will definitely suspect that you did it. He'll capture you and search your soul. When the time comes, the truth will be revealed. Wu Fan continued to threaten. Lu Ming was slightly stunned. This was indeed as Wu Fan had said. The state preceptor definitely knew that Wu Fan wanted to kill Lu Ming. If Wu Fan died here, the state preceptor would definitely suspect that Lu Ming did it. With the state preceptor's tyranny, what could he not do? However, to let Wu Fan go just like that? Impossible. He had already offended Wu Fan and killed so many experts from the state preceptor's residence. Even if he let Wu Fan go, the state preceptor and the state preceptor's residence would not let him go. Since that was the case, why not kill him? Seeing that Lu Ming was hesitating, Wu Fan thought that Lu Ming was afraid and did not dare to kill him. A smug sneer appeared on his face as he said, Lu Ming, your talent is very good and you are very strong. You are much stronger than those useless subordinates of mine. As long as you pledge your allegiance to me, swear that you will work for me in the future, and give me your treasures, I can let this matter rest and let bygones be bygones. Lu Ming almost laughed. How could this guy be so stupid? His IQ was too low. Did he really think that he could scare him with just a few words? Not only did he ask Lu Ming to submit to him, but he also coveted Lu Ming's treasures and opportunities. He was really stupid. Sorry, but I have a strong point. I don't believe in evil. I want to see how your father will deal with me after I kill you. Lu Ming sneered. His cold killing intent was extremely dense. A long spear appeared in his hand. No, at this moment, Wu Fan's face changed drastically. He could clearly feel Lu Ming's killing intent. It was not just for show. He really wanted to kill him. He panicked. He was afraid. He was terrified. He could no longer stay calm. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I can give you anything you want. Power, beauties, treasures, cultivation techniques, divine crystals. I can give you anything. Don't. Wu Fan screamed hysterically. However, before he could finish his words, Lu Ming's long spear had already pierced out. Puchi! Wu Fan's head was pierced through. His soul was destroyed and he died on the spot. Everything you said, I will rely on myself to get it, Lu Ming said in a low voice. He then kept Wu Fan's storage ring. Wan Shen, have you killed all those people? Lu Ming asked. Not a single one was left alive. Wan Shen said. Good. Let's go and collect their storage rings. Lu Ming said. Then, Lu Ming burned Wu Fan's body to ashes. He collected the storage rings of the 30 experts from the Imperial Tutor's residence. As for the corpses, he also burned them to ashes. To be honest, he could not let the Imperial Tutor know about this. Otherwise, the Imperial Tutor would definitely go crazy. After making sure that there were no loopholes, they left the place. After flying far away, Lu Ming took out Wu Fan's storage ring and frowned. With a final wave of his hand, he threw Wu Fan's storage ring away. This was Wu Fan's storage ring. Who knew if the Imperial Tutor could sense it through some means? It was too dangerous to carry it around. As for the storage rings of the 36 experts from the Imperial Tutor's residence, Lu Ming transferred the treasures into his own storage ring. As for the empty storage rings, he threw them away as well. After settling everything, Lu Ming led Wan Shen to the place where he had agreed to meet with the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe. After some time, Lu Ming arrived at the place where he had agreed to meet with the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe. From afar, Lu Ming saw the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe. Combat Ancestor. The Dark Ape Fighting Tribe also saw Lu Ming. When they saw that Lu Ming was fine, they were overjoyed and relaxed. When Lu Ming left alone to lure the golden-haired and silver-haired men away, they were very worried. During this period, they blamed themselves for not protecting Lu Ming. If something happened to Lu Ming, they would not be able to answer to Yuan Huan and Yuan Kong, "I'm fine." Lu Ming smiled. "This is..." The Dark Ape Fighting Tribe looked at Wan Shen. "He is a new friend of mine," Lu Ming said casually. "You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.